If you've ever been ready for the diabolical greens at Oakmont, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. This is the Wednesday, June 11th edition. June 11th edition. We got hump day here today. It's the big day of the week here, right? We got CPI here today. We're expecting that in about 30 minutes. That should be a big market mover here. We'll see what that does. We got Tim Melvin today. We had Chewy earnings this morning, which I bought puts on last night. So we'll go over that. We got to break down some of the news. Robo-taxi event started. Lots of stuff. Can't wait to set up some trades. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Wednesday, June 11th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. I hope that you all had a wonderful Tuesday evening and hopefully your Wednesday is treating you well. I was just talking to the producer backstage. I cannot wait for tomorrow to watch this golf tournament. I know some of you don't care, but I was watching some clips on what these pros are trying to do with the course, and it is going to be awesome. Can't wait for that to get started. It's going to make me feel good about my own golf game, which is rare when I watch the pros. Anyway, good to see a whole bunch of returning faces here. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. Locked in and ready to go. Yassine, welcome back. Yassine is going to be 91 here in Chicago. Hope your air conditioner's ready to go. Mine's off right now. That's going to change pretty soon. Couch Potato, good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, welcome back. It's good to see you again as well. Pete, locked in and ready to go. Kayla, welcome back. Big Milkshake Trading, welcome back. Chuck, welcome back. Zach McCracken, I love that name. Welcome back, my man. Harris, good to see you again. Mama Bear's locked in. Let's go, Mama Bear. Producers ready to go. EKS, great to see you again, my man. Fun fact, Warren Buffett indicator jumps 200% and is now just 2 percentage points away from the most expensive stock market in history. Dun, dun, dun. Big foreshadowing right there, EKS. Is it literally called the Warren Buffett indicator? Is there another name for it? Never heard of that, but a nice little fun fact to start the morning here. Appreciate you. Crimp Biscuit, welcome back. Good to see you as always. Dave Trader LTD, welcome back. Good to see you. Day Trader. We've got Dave Trader and Day Trader right next to each other. That's a tongue twister. Welcome back, both of you. Great to see you. Graf, welcome back. Mike, welcome back. Charles, welcome back. Look at YSG and Uber for me. Your show is by far the best for making money out of all of the services I subscribe to. That's impressive, Charles, because it's free. And that's awesome. I don't even know what YSG is, to be honest with you, but added to the list. Good morning and welcome back. Quantum, good morning, welcome back. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning and welcome back. ATL Russ, welcome back. Brandy, welcome back. Exy, welcome back. Stock Trader for Life, good morning. Sean, Jonathan, Jimmer, good morning. Rayal, good morning. Monica, welcome back. Ezrar, welcome back. Graf says, Ryan, you love golf. How do you feel about Mod G long term? I don't like any of these smaller stocks long term, to be quite honest with you. There was another one. The Top Golf is that Mod G. Top Golf is like not really golf. Kind of is, but it kind of isn't. It's a good like feeder into the actual game itself. I don't like a lot of the stocks. I like the activity more than I like the stocks, but I would love to hear a bull case on any of these. We've traded a couple of these off the movers too that looked like they were pretenders. John Knox, great morning. Yes, I love that. Love the positivity. Good morning. Laura in Florida, good morning. Imran, good morning. Harley, Kerching. Oh, I have to do it. Good morning. Airbus. I'm just going to go with Airbus because it's easier for me. Good morning, Edward. Good morning. Mo, good morning. Gary, Blazed Rhino, good morning. Rooster, good morning. Whis, we out here indeed. Adventures with Ma Cherie, welcome back. Diamond Hotline, good morning. Welcome back. DCL, good morning. Jay and Larry, good morning. And we are off. And ooh, that cool breeze was good. We could use a couple of those here today. All right. Let's go back here. Let's get the SPY chart up. Danny from Mexico, welcome. Anthony, good morning. Let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to start here with the SPY, and it looks like we're pushing higher here. I see the SPY literally ticking up as we speak here. I wonder if was there a number leaked or something, because it's not the CPI. That's not out yet. We have a headline breaking here. Trump, quote, "Our deal with China is done, subject to Xi's approval. We are getting 55% tariffs. China's getting 10%. Deal with China is done." Okay, so that is what you're getting here. S&P futures did pop there. They're retracing a little bit. I'll be honest, before I get too excited about any of these deals, I actually want to see all of it. So here's the tweet itself. "Our deal with China is done, subject to final approval with President Xi and me. Full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied up front by China." That's actually really good news. "Likewise, we will provide to China what was agreed to, including Chinese students using our colleges and universities," which has always been good of me. Okay, so that's pretty much been going on. Looks like that's getting pared back. Total 55% tariffs. China's getting 10. Relationship is excellent. Thank you for your attention. Okay, it's typical Trump tweet there. I actually still am going to kind of hold out here and say I want to see maybe a more formal write-up as opposed to a Truth Social post. But nonetheless, looks like that deal here getting done. Initial reaction here was a pop to the upside, and it pulled back a little. So the one thing that we'll definitely want to be looking at today is this a sell the news event? I know there was a lot of talk about that. We find EKS just gave us a stat about the market being overvalued. Here we are up near all-time highs. Maybe the market could use a pullback. Some people don't believe any of this stuff, yada, yada, yada. So I want to see what the reaction actually is. I want to give it today. And I actually want to see a little bit more. Like I said, I don't want to make a decision necessarily based off one of those posts. And then also, again, we've got the CPI here. Now, that news read well. Obviously, we have to look into this a little bit more. The news read well, so that almost makes me think that he knows the CPI print's not going to be great. I'm just speculating. We'll see what happens when that all comes out here. Anyway, that's what's going on with the SPY. I'm glad that happened right as I started the show here. That was cool. Thank you, producer, for the assist in getting the screen grab. That's extremely helpful. When we flip back to the daily chart here, you could see 603.08. This was the high yesterday on SPY as we continue our breakout from the trend line that's originated at the all-time highs and moved through the recent highs. So we're continuing our move higher here. This deal, good start here. Obviously, that does need final approval. It looks like they're showing some Jameson Greer and Howard Lutnick over in London. They're talking about this, so I'm sure we're going to have more details over the course of the day. But market is absolutely waiting for CPI here. That little pop and retrace back to right where we started, that pretty much tells me action-wise that we are definitely waiting for the CPI print. You get a favorable inflation print here, giddy up. We might be in good shape going forward into the next print. So we'll see. We'll see how this all shakes out. I don't want to get too excited too early on. Let's see how it shakes out. But let's have a plan for either direction, frankly. Now, as far as the SPY goes here, I would imagine if we get a good CPI print today, along with more information about the deal being done, we're likely to see some more volume in the market today. That would be a good thing. We've actually had some pretty pathetic volume recently, and we'll see if this is enough then to maybe even take us to and through those new highs. So, should be an interesting day on deck here. Okay. Good morning. And good morning to all of those that I have not said good morning to yet. Zoo, good morning. Jane, welcome back. ADL, welcome back. Jonathan, welcome back. Lion, good morning. It's great to see you. Catherine, welcome back. Mo, welcome back. And Tom, welcome back. Okay, so let's have a great day here today. Next up, CPI. That's happening in 21 minutes. Let me see. I'm getting pinged here. Let me just make sure everything's okay. Everything seems to be okay. Okay. All right. Now, I do want to roll through some news here real quick. I will obviously keep my eye on the I'll keep my eye on the market here and see if anything changes, as well as that print. I do really quickly want to start off with Chewy here. They reported earnings, and I haven't listened. The conference call, I think, actually starts now. Actually, I think it started 9 minutes ago, if I'm not mistaken. The trade here was very simple for me. We had a huge run that was very profitable. We were trading this on the way up from like 37-ish all the way up to 48 or whatever it was, with multiple call positions. My thought was, we've seen some of these stocks really kind of run into earnings and get hit. I almost wonder if that's what's going to happen for Chewy here. So I used some of the profit that I made off the trades into earnings and rolled that into puts the monthly contract, which expires next week here. I bought the 42 puts. So Chewy pulling back here 6.5%. We'll see what happens when those open. I'm basically looking just for a quick flip here. We'll see if I end up getting that. Now, as far as the actual number here on Chewy, they did beat on the top and the bottom line. 35-cent EPS beats the 34-cent estimate. 3.12 billion in sales, beat the 3.08 billion in sales estimate. The fiscal year 25 revenue 12.3 to 12.45. The consensus was 12.4. So while that is in line, the estimate is actually at the higher end of the range. I don't know if maybe that's weighing on it here. They also said Q2 adjusted EPS 30 to 35 versus the 31-cent estimate. That's actually a pretty good guide. And then it sees sales 3.06 to 3.09. The estimate there was 3.03, so that's actually a raise. Chewy pulling back a little bit here. It might just need a little bit of a break. We'll see what happens in the conference call. I'm basically, this is not even going to be like a huge trade. I'm basically just looking for a little bit of lunch money here. We'll see if we can flip these calls when the market opens here. We'll see how Chewy actually trades out of the open. But those earnings were here this morning. Got an active trade in here via the 42 put for June. We'll see what happens with that trade when we open up here. Now, let me go to some of the news. Just going to roll through this here real quick. It's actually a little bit stale now that deal has been finalized. A federal appeals court on Tuesday permitted Trump's extensive tariffs to continue pending its review in the lower court rulings. This is exactly what I told you was going to happen when we had that news about the activist judges doing their thing. Told you this stuff was going to get thrown out. It indeed did. The U.S. and China achieved a trade consensus in London following 2 days of negotiation. That came from Howard Lutnick. Again, breaking news here this morning is that deal is done. Trump is tweeting that himself. Needs, I guess, final approval by Trump and Xi, and we need to see all of the details of that deal. I know the big thing there was the rare earths, and it looks like that was addressed. So we'll see what happens when that all comes out. I'm sure I'll have plenty of time later to do that. Now, for some quotes here, for some data on the market here, from Ryan Dietrich, yet again, highlighting that the S&P 500 index continues to be in a bull market, which began in October of 2022. Ryan Dietrich from Carson Research said in an X post that the third year of a bull market is mostly choppy based on historical data. Okay. Dietrich said that based on his 50-year analysis, this is actually a pretty good look back period here for this data. 5 past bull markets persisted for at least this duration, with the shortest of those lasting a full 5 years. Basically, if you get into a bull market, expect this to run for several years. It should not be a very quick-lived thing. Quote, the 5 bulls that made it into year 3 tended to see chop and frustration at some point. He added, that's the bad news. The good news is once you get past that, and I think we did this time, better times are coming. So obviously the big thing here is he's saying, there was a little disturbance, as Trump called it several months ago. Thinks that we're past that with one of these deals signed. Maybe we are. And if that's the case, he does expect some better things ahead. And we've got some data for that. So here's the first tweet. Furthermore, he drew attention to the 11-year bull market that ran from March of 2009 to February of 2020, where COVID struck, pointing out that its encounter with a near bear market midway through its third year. Quote, the current bull market had a near bear market in the middle of year 3. And then here is that. Here's the actual chart for that. And you can see what happened after this. So we'll see where this ends up going. This would be great. I know EKS, you're talking about valuations here, or you're giving us a stat here about valuations and how the market is still kind of overpriced. We'll see if we get any type of drop in some of these. One of the other things that we've in some of the valuations there, like the price to earnings multiple, one of the things that we've seen is maybe a little bit of a broadening out here where some of the big cap tech names got sold and some of the cheaper, more value-oriented names get bought. If we continue to see that rotation, that could actually be really bullish for the market. Actually, that would actually be really good for us too, as traders and investors. So we'll see if that shakes out here. Louis Navellier of Navellier and Associates explained that June is the time for Russell's annual index realignment. Every Friday in June, the Russell announces its proposed Russell 1000 and 2000 index changes, which are fine-tuned each week. The stock that are added to both the Russell 1000 and 2000 indices naturally benefit from index accumulation, and the institutional managers that like to track indices, quote, after Friday, June 27th, the Russell index realignment will be finalized, and many stocks being added to the Russell indices will pop on Monday, June 30th. So there you go. Now, I don't know which stocks are going to be in this, but this might be some homework for us to do if we can figure that out. If y'all have ideas on this, I would love to hear that. And if you guys have any ideas on stocks that could be added to these indices, I know we talked about that with Hood and the S&P 500, but this one a little bit more direct. And we actually have some dates here for you, so this might be an interesting thing to take a look at. Talking about the expectations for May's inflation print, he said, quote, it will be interesting if the deflationary forces in the past few months persist, since that would put more pressure on the Fed to cut key interest rates. Quote, there are also treasury bond auctions on Wednesday and Thursday that will be carefully monitored, especially the bid to cover ratios and the tail on those auctions that could cause the bond yields to rise. So again, a lot going to happen here. Should be a pretty big day. We'll see how this shakes out. Now, let's see, how much time do we have? Okay, we're really good on time here. I'm just going to keep rolling through some more news here, and then we'll have Tim Melvin on this morning pretty soon. Kathy Woods, ARK Invest, projects $2.5 trillion valuation for Elon Musk's SpaceX by 2030, 7 times growth through Mars, Starlink, and Optimus. We had a brief discussion about this on Happy Hour. I know that this is at the forefront of everyone's mind, and obviously SpaceX, not a public company. We've talked a lot on this show about DXYZ, the ETF that has 37% ownership, et cetera. Anyway, in collaboration with research firm Mach 33, ARK unveiled a comprehensive open source model on Tuesday, forecasting a $2.5 trillion enterprise value for SpaceX by 2030. Or a compounded annual growth rate of 38% since the last known valuation of $350 billion back in 2024. Using a Monte Carlo simulation with over 1 million iterations, ARK estimates a bear case valuation of approximately $1.7 trillion, a bull case scenario of $3.1 trillion, and a base case of $2.5 trillion. Projected returns of 385%, 785%, and 614% over 5 years, respectively. Quote, the estimate is our expected enterprise value for SpaceX in 2030. The forecast incorporates 17 independent variables and reflects ARK's biased and long-term positive view of the company. Central to this thesis and the projected growth of Starlink, SpaceX's satellite broadband business, which ARK believes could generate $300 billion in annual revenue once the constellation is complete, which is expected by 2035, and would account for 15% of total global communications spending. The analyst also factors the company's Mars ambitions and believes that once Starlink matures, with steady cash flows, SpaceX can divert resources towards building Martian infrastructure using Mars-adapted Optimus robots. It literally sounds like I'm reading a science fiction novel right now, and it's the news, and I could not be happier about that. The mere thought of robots walking around on Mars building Martian infrastructure, I mean, that's cool. That's cool. At least for me. I'm kind of a science nerd. I was into this stuff when I was a kid. So to me, that's really cool. Anyway, it delivers heavily into the minutia of the company's operations. It delves heavily, accounting for the productivity gains that come from reusable Starship rockets, the economics of Starlink's bandwidth with satellite performance measured in gigabits per kilogram to arrive at its conclusions. Wright's law plays a significant role in the firm's forecast, which essentially refers to projecting cost declines as a function of cumulative production. ARK nonetheless covers the risks involved in these theses, noting that space is an inherently challenging domain with significant execution risk. And while other events such as Elon Musk's sudden departure, CEO's sudden departure, or the failure to scale Optimus, could material impact outcomes. I don't think either of those are going to happen. Musk's recent feud with President Trump, which looks like that's already on the mend based on some tweets, created significant headwinds for SpaceX. Again, that looks to be behind us here. Let's see, what else do we have here? Earlier this week, it was reported that NASA and Pentagon officials have begun using Musk's competitor Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' company, to expedite the development of alternative rockets and spacecraft. So again, looks like that's turnaround. We'll see how that all shakes out. One more thing here on Tesla. I'll take a quick look at the chart here because I know Tesla's trading higher here in the pre-market prior to the CPI print. I just want to get this out of the way. We got 10 minutes till this actual print. We got Tim Melvin. I'm going to bring him on before that print actually comes out here. Tesla's robotaxi spotted without driver, but can it catch Waymo's breakneck lead? I picked this story solely for day trader because I just wanted to make him happy. Elon Musk reacted Tuesday to the first public sighting of Tesla's robotaxi prototype testing without a driver, calling it, quote, a beautifully simple design. The vehicle was spotted operating on public roads in Austin, Texas, and featured in an X post. A video shared by Sawyer Merritt showed the Model Y with Tesla's new robotaxi wordmark on the side and no one in the driver's seat. Here's the video for you. The big takeaway that I had from this video, I think someone in the actual comments of this tweet said the same thing. I was expecting to see something that looked like a Waymo. And like all of the LiDAR equipment is not on the car. Like it looks like a normal car. That was my immediate takeaway from this. I know we've been talking a little bit about this kind of being a race, who's in first, blah, 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 blah. The immediate thing that I noticed here is that these cars look like actual cars, not like these crazy things with all these cameras on it. Some more stuff about this. I actually, the comments are kind of interesting. So if you have some time, maybe go through that. Tesla's limited rollout arrives as another player continues to accelerate at scale. Waymo's explosive growth. I was wondering if that was chosen kind of like for a pun, since the Waymos are getting destroyed and burned in California, but I don't think so. Nonetheless, Tesla's Waymo's explosive growth in California has taken monthly ride volume from fewer than 100,000 a year ago to over 700,000. The one thing that I wanted to really kind of comment on here, I know I've kind of poo-pooed robo-taxis in general. I do recognize that there's a segment of the market that would benefit quite a bit from this, and it's nice to see some of those quotes coming out. Accessibility and rollout timing also surfaced. Quote, any timeline for unsupervised driving in Canada? Asked a ex-respondent. Another one said, I've stopped driving because of a medical situation. Would I be able to use the car without a driver's license? This is really interesting because this is, I believe, the market that these robo-taxis are absolutely going to serve and benefit greatly. Question is, how big is that market? I know I've asked a lot of you folks here saying, would you use one? If you had the choice, would you use one? And it seems to go back and forth on all of that. So anyway, just thought that was interesting. Tesla's Autopilot launching on June 12th, which is tomorrow, with about 10 modified Model Y vehicles, marks its first move into its live driverless service. The rollout arrives as Waymo prepares to test its AV taxis in new markets, including San Antonio, Houston, and Orlando. My big thing here is that I understand that Waymo's done more rides and has more vehicles currently. I still maintain that Tesla can scale at an exponential rate way faster than Waymo. And so it's very hard for me to say that this is the company that's ahead. We'll see how it all shakes out. I've been wrong before. I'm sure I'll be wrong again. So we'll see. One more thing before we bring Tim on, I'm going to set you up for a little bit of a victory lap, Tim. So here you go. Self-driving cars may slash insurance costs 50% by 2040. Can you remember which one of our guests was talking about this not long ago? I can. It starts with a Tim and it ends with Melvin. And in the middle, it's a bunch of money signs. That's who was talking about this. So anyway, this comes from Goldman Sachs here. Self-driving cars are poised to disrupt the $430 billion U.S. auto insurance market, according to Goldman Sachs, as fewer accidents and shifting risks could cut insurance costs by more than half over the next 15 years. In a research note shared Monday, Goldman Sachs analyst Mark Delaney indicated that insurance costs are projected to decline from roughly 50 cents per mile in 2025 to 23 cents per mile by 2040. I would absolutely love this. Again, I hope that this is cut for me. I'm a better driver than 99.99% of the people out there. I should be paying a lower insurance rate. We'll see. Anything that makes these insurance rates come down would be a good thing. Tim knows how much I absolutely hate insurance. Now, speaking of Tim, let's see how he's doing, huh? We'll go ahead and bring Tim on here. Tim, good morning. How you doing here today?
We are doing fantastic, Ryan. And I'm sorry about your insurance rates up there in the great, Chicago land. So,
Me
uh,
too, man.
really, really sorry about that. But don't feel bad. Insurance is pure math, right? It's not you; it's where you live. But the drive, and I love, by the way, the Tesla lead in. I caught it with the SpaceX.
Yep.
Because SpaceX is capable of being just like this monster
Yeah.
business, right? But I love the way Kathy Woods puts basically 17 gobbledygook points into a Monte Carlo model and writes up a press release like it's important because they've got projections out to 2035. Okay. That is so stupid that it defies explanation. All right. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm kind of bullish on SpaceX. I think it's a great business and they are doing things much better than their competitors. But to attempt to peg a value on it based on some stuff that may happen 10 years from now, not smart, guys. Please don't base anything on that. That's ridiculous. If you like the space business, you can buy some SpaceX, right, and hang on to it for a very long time. I think it's probably the best play. And of course, you got to buy Tesla to get SpaceX, but another story.
Well, so actually, so Tim, so we talked about that. So let's stay on that here for a sec. So if someone came to you, someone that you actually like, not someone, that you don't care for, if someone came to you that you liked and said, I want exposure to SpaceX, your recommendation would be to buy Tesla?
No, we'd have to do more work because the ownership is different, and you'd have to find a private vehicle that actually has a stake in Tesla.
Yeah. So because like the way that again, the way that we
I'm
have
sorry.
kind of talked about this before is this DXYZ ETF, this Destiny Tech 100. This is a closed end ETF fund. They own 37% of SpaceX. It's easily their biggest position. This is the only way that I know to actually gain exposure to that prior to it being made public.
That's probably not a bad play. Now the thing with when you're doing these funds that do private companies, remember only like 1 out of 100 of these things is going to hit.
Mm.
And so you have to have that mindset. All 100 companies in that portfolio are not going to hit and make you rich beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah.
But SpaceX is going to be a great business. Personally, I go by the Tim Melvin profit rule. All right.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not touching it till it's profitable. But here's the thing: the company that cures cancer, when a company comes out tomorrow and announces, "I've got a cure for cancer," right? That stock is going to go up by 10, 15 fold. Everybody that's been speculating on it, the ones that landed on that company, are going to make some cash that day. Okay. 90% of the people that were speculating on who's going to cure cancer are going to lose money as they always do.
Yep.
But if you buy it after the announcement, when they first start selling it, you're still going to be in on the 500x return that's going to come from that thing. So you don't have to speculate in these low end startup stage businesses in order to benefit from these massive changes that could happen. So you can wait until they're real businesses that are real profitable and they're in the lead. Look at Amazon. If you waited until they were cash flow positive, you missed those 90% drawdowns we hear so much about. So
that's true.
The space race is going to be fascinating. To speculate today on who is going to be the winner 10, 15 years from now is insanity. But DCL 117 is asking, would insurance rates really come down?
I'm so glad too. I didn't want to start spinning conspiracy theories, but this reminds me about you should change to compact fluorescence and LED lights because your bill's going to go down. No, it isn't. We're going to make the change
Right.
and you're going to raise the cost of energy and our bill's going to be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I like this. I'm wondering the same thing.
Would insurance rates? Yeah, they're going to. But if you talk to people that model insurance, here's the concern in the insurance industry, right? If we go to 100% driverless cars tomorrow, there's absolutely no doubt in anybody's mind that accident rates will go down dramatically. A lot of your fender benders and oopsies and stupid stuff will go way down. So small claims will disappear. However, what the industry is modeling for is now what you're going to be insuring against is mass casualty events because the system failed. Now, imagine LA freeway, 70 miles an hour, tens of thousands of cars on the road, and the system fails or it gets hacked. That's a mass casualty event. Okay. Now, here's the thing about mass casualties events: you can reinsure them a lot easier because of the cat bond market. So, yes, absolutely, the cost of insurance will come down. Please do not think that insurance companies are sitting out there trying to rip you off and steal from you and do bad things to you. It's based on math. They have to get regulatory approval for rate increases. And if you think you hate insurance companies, the insurance regulators hate insurance companies way more than you could ever hate them in your worst nightmare about insurance companies. They want to deny the rate increases. They get up every morning and say, I hope I get a chance to deny an insurance company rate increase today. However, if the model says, and this is why the whole Florida thing, when you look at the Florida, the reason the cost is up is because of hurricanes, it's because of fraud. Okay. It's because of cost structure. So it's the insurance companies, yeah, they're going to lower the rates way down when this happens. They're not ripping you off for the most part. They are highly regulated. It's based on actual lost experience. And by the way, the fact of the cost of the car has gone from 7, 8,000 to 70 to 80,000 just over the last, say, 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
So they're not ripping you off. It's a business. It's got a profit margin, but everything they're doing is based on cost and loss experience.
I hear you. I still hate them. Real quickly here, just getting in here real quick. CPI is out. CPI year over year for May, 2.4 versus the 2.5 estimate. As the producer is saying, ladies and gentlemen, we have liftoff. S&P futures ticking up here, now up 0.36%. Looks like 606.40 was the high on the SPY there. The U.S. core CPI year over year for May, 2.8 versus the 2.9 estimate. So nice, favorable inflation print there. Now, as I set this up this morning, this is the last one where we can kind of feel good about it. The next one's really going to be important. We keep hearing that. Now we're starting to hear about deals, though, so we'll see here. Definitely a good report here today. Market is responding positively to that. Tim, any thought here on the CPI print at all?
That's as I expected it would be. It's a nothing
There you
burger.
go.
It's
Okay.
it's a nothing burger. You may 0.36%. The S&P is not really a big deal. I don't think we'll see a huge reaction to this.
Okay.
And what's going to factor in the PPI will be interesting because that's got more to do with input costs. So it will be interesting to see if we see
We get that tomorrow. We don't even have to wait.
Yeah, interesting to see if we any divergence between the two. But the next couple months, economic numbers are going to be nothing burgers, right? Because you've got so many people that took deferred retirement in the federal government where it doesn't kick in until September, October, right? They're not officially unemployed. Most of the people they laid off had employment agreements, not going to show up in the numbers till next month. So you've got that. You've got input costs are just starting to go up. We've still got, there's discussions about having a deal and maybe we'll make a deal and let's make a deal. And the truth is the average trade agreement takes 14 months historically to negotiate and a lot longer than that. So we got some time to go on all this. There's going to be a lot of news and floating around.
We did get news that the deal with China is done as of this morning, pending Trump and Xi's approval. So we've got two positive headlines out there. But to your point, let's see what's in that.
Yeah, and please understand that's just the framework of a discussion for a deal that's been agreed on. So don't take any of the news flow too seriously. And this is something that we're all going to get caught up in. I'm going to hit this hard a little bit later here, but we're going to fly through some stuff because I got a lot of stuff today. And my wife, we got to go to the DMV. And my wife said, if we're not there early and she has to stand in line, she's going to kneecap me. So
yes,
we got to fly through this stuff.
Let's fly. I just went to the DMV. Bless you. I hope it goes well. Let's go.
Dude, I got to tell you something. This is small city in North Carolina, not Chicago, not Florida. We've been once for driver's licenses. It was not awful. So I'm hoping today repeats itself. All right. The read factors. We got to go through these. I promised you I'd finish. I think this is a critically important story. If the thing that you need to understand down to the very core of your being is that since 1972, publicly traded real estate investment trusts, equity REITs that own the property, not the mortgage REITs, have outperformed the S&P 500 by a rather handy little bit. And in pension funds, REITs, according to CEM benchmarking over the last 25 years, again, easily outperform the stock market. REITs should be a part of your long-term portfolio. There is a reason more billionaires are created by real estate, and every billionaire owns a lot of real estate. Stuff's profitable when you buy it right. So, using factors, here's the defensive factors. These are high quality. And Ryan, again, I sent you the paper. So if anybody wants the link to determine the factors, it's available. Ryan can send it to you. So I'm going to run through these defensive, high quality REITs. These, by the way, must own REITs. You get up, see a headline, real estate market's collapsing. You buy these REITs. And then you send me Christmas cards every year for the rest of my life. Okay. First off, Vici Properties, VICI. This is casino REITs. They own the casino properties. They're on extremely long-term leases. This came out of the old Caesars Palace, so there's a lot of Vegas properties, but they have relationships with other casinos all over the United States. This is a dividend growth machine. So you've got a starting yield of 5.4%. A 5% annual dividend increase has been about the norm, and it's reasonable to continue to expect. Anytime bad headlines in real estate, you buy this. Even during COVID, during the early days of COVID, when we didn't know how long the casinos would be closed, there were all sorts of scenarios. We didn't know what we didn't know. Everybody still paid their rent because you don't want to lose that building. So Vici Properties, VICI. And then there's the net lease retail business. And this is just a fantastic business.
What was the ticker?
This next one's O. So the first one's VICI.
Got it.
The second one is O. This is Realty Income. It pays monthly dividends, and it's standalone retail properties. Walgreens, Starbucks, 7-Eleven, Home Depot, Dick's Sporting Goods. You driving down the road and you see a retail property sitting out there by itself in a parking lot, Walmart, all of that. It's owned by a net lease real estate investment trust almost 98% of the time. The granddaddy in this business is Realty Income. Now, Realty Income has increased the dividend. It's 30 years or some crazy number like that. And they've been paying dividends for even longer. It's a 5.6% dividend. They just increased the dividend for the 131st quarter in a row yesterday. So just a machine. And as you drive down the road, standalone real estate, look on the four corners. Odds are Realty Income owns one of them because they have literally thousands and thousands of buildings all across America. The dividends are monthly, right into your account. Best thing ever. I love this business. And again, this is the granddaddy of the net lease business. Now, the net lease term means that we own the building, we collect rent. The tenant pays the insurance, they pay the taxes, and they pay the maintenance on that building. All we do is collect rent. This is a fabulous business.
Looks like you're not alone in liking this one too. Awesome stuff on O.
Yeah, and then another same business, ADC, Agree Realty Corporation, 4.4% dividend. Reasonable to expect a long stream of dividend increases. By the way, quick point on the casino lease. Those are usually 25 to 30% for VICI. And they all have escalator clauses, so the rent's going up every year contractually. Next up is EQR. You're driving down the road. You're going through downtown Chicago, and you see big, beautiful apartment buildings that you can see from the freeway, the big tall ones. Yeah, Equity Residential owns those. This is Sam Zell's, one of his original companies. He was involved in it right up until he passed away. This is the best apartment REIT in the country, bar none. Really nice apartments, really nice town. it's a good chance it's owned by Equity Residential. So again, you've got right out of it's 3.94% on the dividend. You're going to do reasonably well on dividend increases over time. And then finally, there's AVB, which is Avalon Bay. Avalon Bay, Ryan, don't tell anybody because we can get in trouble for this. I understand it's illegal now. They own office buildings.
Okay.
Okay. Now, interesting fact on offices, and bury this in your mind. CBRE came out with a report yesterday. Last year, for the first time in like forever, between conversions and just straight out demolition of office buildings, conversions and demolitions combined were more than total new construction. Okay. We're destroying office space quicker than we're building it. So that's a problem for some segments of the market. We're eventually going to get into a shortage of high-end office space. So AVB is another one of the high-quality ones. Then the reversal, and this was the most profitable strategy of all of them. And like I said, if you want the whole study, Ryan can send it to you. COLD is cold storage, and they're one of the largest players in the world. It's warehouse space that's refrigerated, which is we built a lot of this, by the way, after again COVID ruptured supply chains, and we figured out that maybe this wasn't going to be the first disruption, and it was a bad idea to be shipping everything out of one centralized warehouse.
Yeah.
So we built a lot of cold storage closer to the end markets. So we had some cold storage. Then energy cost is a problem here. So these things have been selling off. So we can actually buy Americold, COLD, a $5 billion REIT with global operations with a 5% dividend yield. That's the first time I recall seeing this in a very long time, that you could get this high yield. And again, the difference between Class A premier properties and other properties, Class B and Class C, is tremendous. Americold, best in class operations all over the world. So that, they've got the freezer and the refrigerated warehouses. They've got the big companies that you recognize that would use this, the grocery stores. They're using Americold facilities all across the United States. So great dividend, fantastic business. Well, thanks to energy costs and a few other things, really high barriers to entry now that we've kind of rebuilt the supply chain. So the next up is APLE. APLE is hotels, and it's Hyatt's, Marriott's. I'm trying to remember what.
So these are your good, higher quality hotels, then.
Yeah, no, these are not. Yeah, these are not. Joe's Hotel and Bar and Grill. It's Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt brands. They've got properties all over the United States. Hotel business has kind of been crappy, to use a highly technical term. People aren't traveling the way they used to. When they are, and I can tell you this from just because remember, we bounced from Texas to Tennessee and all over the country when we left Florida. With the dogs, it was easier for us to get Airbnbs.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you as my follow-up question there. Do you think that this is a factor of less travel, or maybe a diversification into other options like Airbnbs?
Particularly on the leisure and recreational travel, I think Airbnb is more and more a big deal. And remember, business travel was changed forever by COVID, and that's not ever changing. When we found out that we could get, when your boss found out that he could get a deal done by having you sit in your office and do it on a Zoom call in DocuSign instead of $5,000 to send you out to Los Angeles or San Francisco to buy, top dollar steak dinners for the potential customer, you could get the same deal done without ever leaving your town. Yeah, it's changed. It ain't going back. But in the meantime, best hotels, best in class, great management, 8% dividend. That's a monthly payer, by the way. So again, as this trend reverses, and what's going to happen, right? Because travel's changed, the low end players are the ones that are going to go out of business. The Marriotts and the Hyatts, they're not going anywhere.
Okay.
Okay. Then next up is healthcare office space, medical office buildings. They've been just crushed.
What's the ticker again?
This one is going to be Healthcare Realty HR. They did a big transformative merger last year. Occupancy rate is extremely high. We're all getting, this is a great business, really high occupancy rates, none of the problems the rest of the office market has. And people are just selling this stuff off. Concerns over healthcare, what that's going to look like, and the other side of the administration. Medicare reimbursements, Medicaid reimbursements. Your doctor's still going to pay his rent. There's still going to be standalone clinics. This is a great business. 8% dividend yield. Love the business trading. I can tell you that it's trading at about 2/3 of my internal NAV calculation because I do maintain. I love real estate. In case you can't tell, I have a massive database where I've done the NAV work on most REITs. So there's that one, and then DEI. And no, it's not the Department of Diversity and Exclusion and all that garbage. Although it's in a city that loves this stuff because this is commercial real estate, primary operations west of downtown Los Angeles. It's commercial real estates and apartment buildings. They also have properties in Honolulu. So it's a really good business. They own great buildings. Their occupancy rates are fantastic. Everything in LA, everybody, the legal business, everybody that could get out of downtown has moved to west of downtown, which is Santa Monica, Brentwood. You run into supply problems because to the north you've got mountains, to the south you've got deserts, to the west you've got an ocean, and to the east you have downtown LA, and nobody wants to go there for clearly obvious reasons at this point in time. But DEI, Douglas Emmett, it's been around forever. You've got 5% dividend, trading at maybe half of the net asset value of these properties. It is actually producing funds from operations and free cash flow. This is an extraordinary collection of assets that is extraordinarily cheap. So, and then the final one, and this one I can't, this is one of the ones where folks just aren't getting it. Mid-American Apartment Communities, MAA. Guys, look, we are years away from solving the housing affordability crisis. Years. We need, I don't know, 5.5 million homes to meet demand. You've still got affordability issues. You've got very limited existing home inventory. You've got mortgage rates that are, I just read the Mortgage Brokers Association report yesterday. They don't think that mortgage rates will come under 6.5% for the next several years. So there you have it. That's a tough nut for everybody to get their head around because you're still anchored to 3. Making apartments just a really attractive business. So MAA, decent dividend. It's a great dividend growth story. So that's my REITs for you for this week. Just kind of flying through those.
Okay. I got them. I got the entire list here. Let me throw that in the chat here for you folks. There they are.
Now we're going to go to Gavakal Research. Right. And this one came floating across my desk, and I was actually excited because Gavakal is a research firm that's been around forever. They're based out of Hong Kong. It's a bunch of European guys that have the Asian bug, but they're also really good just on global research. Been around since the 80s. Ladies and gentlemen, they're phenomenal. Okay. They're inside. They're not, nobody's always right in this business, but they're right a lot. And they tend to get the big trends out of Asia and out of Europe absolutely correctly. So I got their lead guys, 8 trends that are going to shape global markets. And my first thought was, I really have to get on and bore Ryan's readership base with this on Wednesday morning. No, seriously, guys, pay attention to these. Think about these because they're important. And when I went through them, I'm like, I didn't think of it that way. There's some stuff I can do here with this. So here we go. Because I don't want to take everybody's time this morning. And I think I really made Ryan and 13 mad last week because I almost went into the open. So here we go.
It did not make us mad. We're good.
Okay. The 8 key trends, according to Gavakal Research. 1, the U.S. is folding its global security umbrella. And they just, if you look at it, we've made it clear to Europe and the rest of the world, we're not going to be the global policeman. Now, personally, I love this. I think it's one of the smartest things we've ever done. If it was up to me, we'd close every foreign base that we have in the world, bring all of our troops home, and just say, I dare you. So that would, but that's just me. But it's going to happen. and it's creating all sorts of opportunities. If you pull up a chart of European defense stocks, right, and you can just pick almost any one, it looks like a flat landscape that suddenly somebody built a skyscraper on, because they've all gone parabolic. And here's the thing: they started from like 4 times earnings, so now maybe they're at 8, 10 times earnings, 12 times earnings. They still have a ways to go. And there's other opportunities because we haven't got into the suppliers to the defense industry, the tech companies of the defense industry, the investment bankers to the defense industry in Europe. And look, it's not just Europe. It's going to filter down into Latin America because they're going to have to spend some money. Under this administration, we're not going to play the global role that we used to. Future administrations, sorry, the one thing that I think Donald Trump has done very successfully is piss the rest of the world off enough that they're not going to want us to anymore. And I think that's one of the best things that ever happened to us. Second, we are really excited to build Fortress America. You've got the Golden Dome. You've got the idea of doing some of the things I just talked about, getting out of the global police business. Um, there's all sorts of opportunities there. There's going to be coastal real estate in and around bases because we are going to bring a lot of these troops home. Golden Dome is going to be a massive technology business. We're going to have to completely and entirely from the ground up because we stupidly allowed our biggest competitor to dominate the drone business. Drones are the future of, I'm not going to call it defense, they're the future of war. Okay. We're behind badly. We're going to have to build this from scratch right now, no waiting. So, all sorts of opportunities in there. Second, U.S. consumers no longer the consumer of last resort. You're going to have to explore and open other markets. Now, this this one, it is absolutely correct, but it's a problem for us in my eyes because we're seeing Latin America and Europe both turn towards China now. I think we may regret that one. Nonetheless, it's highly investable. Um, this next one's huge, and you need to think about this and chew on it because you're not going to like the sound of it. I promise you. But China is leapfrogging the West in industry after industry after industry, whether it's autos, especially electric vehicles, robots, industrial robots, turbines, or nuclear power plants. China is catching up at every level and at the very top of the technology chain. Take a look, for instance, at what happened with DeepSeek, although I'm not entirely convinced that there's not a little bit of fraud in DeepSeek. But China's catching up with us. Once China catches up with us, that leads to trend number 5, Ryan, where, and this one I think is absolutely correct. Um, Artificial intelligence will not be the golden goose of future corporate profits. Competing with China is always a tough proposition. As Gavakal has always said, when China walks in a room, profits walk out. Okay. So China is now on a race to develop AI, but here's the thing: AI is going to do absolutely everything that we think it's going to do. Right? I would make huge bets on that. We're at 30% productivity gains, game changing, huge boost for the US economy, for the global economy. It's going to be so good for banking. I can't stand it. Same with insurance and some other financial services businesses. Same really for real estate. Another discussion, we do a webinar on all the ways that AI will make the world a better place. However, look at it already. Set China aside. It's OpenAI, it's Anthropologic, it's Google, it's Amazon, and now Mr. Zuckerberg is going to do an AI Dream Team project, and everybody's doing it except Apple, who has figured out we don't really need to do that. We'll just let y'all run your stuff on our machines.
That's right.
So,
Pretty
but
much what that's.
and if you think about this, look at the internet, look at the massive boom that the internet has been to the world, and understand that AOL really doesn't exist anymore, even though they dominated that aspect of the business. And it's same for so many of the companies that were the internet superstars, right? The companies that made the backbone, like Cisco, they've just steadily had a good business, great business, turning out the backbone of this stuff at reasonable profits. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at in AI. There's probably not going to be this massive, great, big, huge profit dominator. Even NVIDIA is going to attract competition because the only barrier to entry is the willingness to spend money. Somebody's going to catch up with NVIDIA at some point in time. So it's I think trend number 5 is absolutely right. So 4 and 5 are dangerous. Um, for the fact that China's ahead of us in nuclear power plants and robots should scare you because it does me. Then 6, and this is something nobody's talking about, China's embracing fiscal and monetary stimulus to counter the unfolding trade war. We keep hearing about China can't stand up to this, and China's got a problem, and they've got this problem in the real estate, and the economy's floundering. If China is so bad, why has the Chinese stock market been in a steady uptrend since 2024? If you remember, I talked about this one of the first shows we did together, Ryan. I talked about the fact I hate China. China just entered an uptrend, and it just kept going ever since. Europe is doing the same. So they're
In
all
China's case, isn't it stimulus?
it's stimulus. Yeah,
They're
that's
propping their market up. We know how that ends.
Do we? Because we've done it for 25 years and we're still rolling. Japan's done it for over 30 and they're still there. So it maybe not as bad as you think, but and Europe is doing the same thing to get their economy reignited. Remember something: the whole debt problem and deficit problem, it's not really a problem until the day it's a problem, and that could be today, could be 30 years from now. Depends on the underlying economic growth rate. So they are embracing fiscal and monetary stimulus. Look at the equity markets in China and in Europe, and you'll see they're doing what the US was doing when we started to embrace stimulus. They're going higher. So, and then the big one here is number 8. And remember, Gavico is based in Hong Kong. They have a decidedly global view of things. So the U.S. dollars that were recycled first into the dollar and then into the Mag 7 for the last 5 years, they need a new home. Because all the dollars that we flooded the world with our printing presses and with our various programs and buying imported goods, we paid for that stuff in dollars. They recycled it back into dollars, and then they bought the Mag 7 stocks. Nobody's doing that anymore. So where are those dollars going to go? Well, increasingly, European defense stocks, to be sure. And European banks have outperformed the Mag 7 over the last 2 years, so they've gotten some of the dollars. Where do they go next? Tracking where that money goes next instead of back into the U.S. markets is going to unlock some massive profits going forward. So this is a view that we don't see too often. This just total global view. So I wanted to share it with you guys. And I see that Chris Biscuit says China's the ultimate paper tiger. Everything's a house of card architected by the CCP. You're not entirely wrong, but they can keep this up for a really long time. And that's the important thing to remember. They are the CCP. They control everything, right? So they can keep it up for longer than you think. Maybe, is it long enough to put steel under the paper? I don't know the answer to that. I do know that right now, as Tim Melvin says, everything shows up in price and value, and the price is going up. So there's still a strong uptrend there. And look, I hate China more than any of you hate China. My understanding of history and the Chinese government and what they talk about over there, they don't like us and they mean us harm. And if you go through and you read the China Ministry of Commerce's webpage, and I do, they're cutting deals all over the world right now with the express intent of making us as irrelevant as possible. Okay, so I hate China. Reality, Chinese markets are in an uptrend in spite of all the bad headlines. So anyway, I don't agree with everything that I just shared with you from Gavakal, but I agree with a lot of it, and all of it is thought-provoking. And if you start to dig around in the corners of all 8 of those, and Ryan, by the way, if anybody's interested, just if you're interested, throw yes in, and I'll send Ryan the link. If not, I won't waste his time. But I think that it's absolutely worth thinking about.
So the last really quickly, the last link that I have here was the REIT Factors paper, the
Right.
S&P Global Market Intelligence.
I have not sent you this link yet.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense then. Then I understand.
Right. But if anybody wants it, I will absolutely send it to Ryan, and he can get it out to you guys.
Okay. Tim, good stuff. Thanks again.
Yep, that's all I got for you today. You've got your half an hour going all the way into the market. REITs, think a little bit globally. Have a fantastic week, everybody. And thanks for putting up with me this morning.
As always, Tim, we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Have a good rest of your week. We'll check in with you next Tuesday evening and then also next Wednesday morning. Have a good one, Tim.
Perfect, folks. Bye.
All right. That is Tim Melvin, folks, sharing some of the studies and also giving us a bunch of those stocks to take a look at. Love the dividend stocks. Been adding a lot of those to my portfolio. Several of the ones that he mentioned today, Vici, already own. I'm interested in APLE as well. So we'll see how this all shakes out. That is Tim Melvin. All right, folks. 13 should be here any moment. Let me make sure I didn't get something wrong here. Okay. No, we should have 13 here pretty soon. It looks like. Okay. Let me see. What else do we have here? I don't think I had anything else news-wise. We talked about the self-driving. We talked about the robo-taxi stuff. Really quickly, before 13 shows up here, I did want to go into one more story here. This is Michael Saylor. This is regarding MicroStrategy, which we talk about all the time. Michael Saylor says Jim Chanos doesn't understand Strategy's model. He wouldn't be the only one. Criticizes long Bitcoin short MSTR trade. Short seller hits back with financial gibberish remarks. So more wealthy people arguing with one another again here. In an ex-post, Chanos argued Saylor wants investors to value Strategy not only as based on the net asset value of Bitcoin holdings in the market, but also apply a multiple to the change in that net asset value. Quote, it's like claiming that your house, which increased in market value last year from 450 grand to $500,000, is actually worth $1.5 million because you also have to put a 20 multiple on the $50,000 increase, which I thought was rather amusing. That's clearly not how MicroStrategy is run, but nonetheless, Jim Chanos, allowing his opinion here. The sharp reaction followed Saylor's criticism of Chanos's long Bitcoin and short strategy position during a Bloomberg interview. Quote, I don't think he understands what our business model is, end quote. What he still doesn't understand is that we're not a holding company or a closed-end trust. We're an operating company. Saylor argued that unlike trusts, Strategy can employ corporate maneuvers such as selling preferred stock to neutralize strategies such as those recommended by Chanos. He said that if the premium for Bitcoin holdings declines significantly, the company will just issue preferred stock and buy back the common. And if the stock rallies up, he's going to get liquidated and wiped out. So we'll see who's right on this one. I got my money on Michael Saylor personally. Chanos revealed an arbitrage opportunity in shorting Strategy stock while buying Bitcoin last month, suggesting that the stock's premium over Bitcoin value is not justified. For context, the net asset value premium refers to the difference between Strategy's market cap and the value of its Bitcoin holdings. Its market cap, I think, is like 1.1 trill or something like that. Let me see, actually. Let's go back here to MSTR. Let's actually get my numbers right instead of guessing. 109 was way off. 109.27 billion. The total holdings of all their Bitcoin is 63.5 billion. So that's where that calculation comes from. Anyway, it's seen as a gauge of investor sentiment towards Bitcoin and the company's approach. And as of this writing, the net asset value stood at 1.87. Tim, some of the stocks that Tim was talking about had a net asset value of under 1 because they were half of the net asset value. Anyway, Strategy has led Bitcoin corporate adoption, building its reserve with proceeds from common stock and preferred stock and convertible bond issuances. The firm has held a stash worth $63.4 billion as of this writing. So we'll see here. I'm amused by this. I actually have no position on MicroStrategy right now, but if I had to pick, I would absolutely side with Michael Saylor. We'll see how this all shakes out. Okay, 13 is finally here. Let's see how he's doing. 13, good morning. Happy Wednesday. How are you doing here today?
I'm doing just fine. It's been a little bit of a busy morning, so sorry for being late, but thanks to Tim. He bought me some time, so here I am. How's everybody this morning? How are you?
We're all doing good, man. We're ready to roll here today. You have any thoughts on the CPI print here today, which caused the S&P 500 to pop? By the way, we're still trading up by 0.18%.
Yeah, softer than expected. I haven't had a chance to look through it entirely yet because I'm kind of interested to see what the differences are. I was talking previously about how I thought in May we were seeing some the price of crude start to rebound off the end of April lows. So I thought that maybe we might see a higher print there. Like I said, I haven't looked at it, so I don't know what the changes are. But I was anticipating that it might have stagnated or been higher. But here we are with 0.1% lower year over year.
Okay. And market is moving higher on that. All right. You want to do these movers? Get these out of the way here?
Let's get these out of the way. And as a matter of fact, one of them, while you were talking, was taken off like a rocket, but it wasn't rocket. It was KZIA. There it is.
Okay. So we'll start with this one then. KZIA stock was about Stock was about $5 yesterday. Kazia Therapeutic shares are trading higher after the company announced it published preclinical data on one of its drugs in the Journal of Molecular Cancer Therapeutics. So we did take one impulse move here up to about just shy of $10. We're now taking another leg higher. That took us above 12. Quick look around the horn here at the short interest, 0.26% of its float shorted. That's nothing there. 1.23 days to cover. It comes on 31,000 shares of average volume. Good Lord, this thing's a ghost town if it's not in the news. Factor that into your trading plan as well. 5.5 million share float. We've traded 15 million shares here. What do you think, 13?
Yeah, so we've certainly traded this one before. This one is the oncology company that's focused on the breast cancer drugs. The name of that one just had here a second ago, Paxilicid. So congratulations. So this company looks like they are going to need some cash. Doesn't look like we have a real good read on their income statement, as was the case last time. So I wouldn't anticipate that maybe there's going to be some kind of capital raise happening here soon, because I don't think I saw one that happened recently. Last one that happened was last year, and I believe September. 5.5 million shares in the float. Already having a great morning. Wondering where this is going to go. I start off by doing one of those topside trend lines from some of the peaks we had here. So 8:05 this morning through the 12:25 high that we just made about 10 minutes ago.
Sure.
That's about what I'd be looking at if we are going to continue the upside. We're going to at least test this again, or possibly even break through it. We could even explore some of these stupid levels if we wanted to. We've blown through all the ones on the daily chart, so I'd be looking at the weekly. And here we have a really interesting 65 weekly EMA that has suppressed every rally that we have had going back to 2021, where we lost it. So if we do end up going up to the 65 EMA, that's going to bring us up to about 1733. We're $6 away from there and change. So it's not entirely impossible, but it's going to take a lot of volume to get up there. So we'll see what we end up getting. First thing I'm going to want to see is just a break over that trend line we just drew.
Okay, perfect. Really good setup there. KZIA. Do you have another one on your list that you prepared for here instead of me just guessing? And I do also have one more thing off the morning report that I want to highlight before we open.
Okay, yeah, HSDT. And I'm sorry for the dimness of my my camera. I have my window open and it's overcast, but
I don't think anyone's complained, so I think we're good.
Okay, I just was looking at mine. I was like,
I know. Well, look, 13. Let's be honest here. It's going to take a lot to get to my level here. It's a lot of work to make sure that you look this good every day with the lighting and everything. Okay. Anyway, let's go to HSDT.
Really, the beacons are lit. Gondor's call for aid.
Helios Medical Technologies announces authorized claim for payment by major healthcare payer for its portable neuromodulation stimulator, or PONS device.
Yep.
Okay, this did pop as high as like 216. It came in a little bit. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. We really have. I know we've lost the VWAP here, but we haven't really broken down from the VWAP here. The volumes kind of come in a little So we'll see how this ends up shaking out. Quick look around the horn here on this one. 11.75% of the float shorted. And by the way, Jonathan, I think you mentioned this earlier in the chat. Indeed, we did get an update from FINRA here. So all of our short interest data is far less stale than it has been the past several sessions. This is effective as of yesterday. This is brand new here. 11.75% of the float shorted with 1.82 days to cover. That comes on an average volume of 863,000 shares. Today, we've traded just shy of 54 million. The float here, though, micro float. I mean, barely over 500,000 shares. 527,000 is the reading that I have. 13, what do you think here on HSDT?
Yeah, so great headline here. The problem I'm having with this is I don't know if that float's correct. And I'm getting the same float in my broker. And the reason I'm saying that is because they just did an offering earlier this month to raise 9.1 million. And they did that through Series, I think they did it through Series A and warrants. You can see in June 5th, that's where the headlines were coming out. It looks like they announced it on the 4th. We also have it show up on the calendar. So I don't know why we're not seeing that those shares reflected, unless it's, like I was just saying, it might be because of they're maybe preferred and not part of this category of commons. But it says that they, Class A common. So it might not just show up in this float because it's a different class. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't looked at their share structure, so I don't know if they have a different series.
So here you go. So 13, I just popped this in really quick to know the float. This is not a Benzinga website. This I think this used to be Float Checker.
That looks better.
But here, so Wall Street Journal showing a very similar float. Dilution Tracker and FinViz showing near 3 million.
That should be right.
So it's probably somewhere in there. So there you go. And just to be clear, folks, for any of you wondering, the data pool where we get our float parameter from comes from Morningstar, which is what a lot of your brokers and Wall Street firms use. So float is a notoriously difficult data point to pin down. It's often variable from different sources. This is normal, frankly. But there you go. I'll keep trying to bring you more of those float figures so we can have an accurate representation.
So you take that 527K, you add that to 2.63 million. That's where you get your 3.1 from. I think the 3.1 sounds better. But anyway, so still a very low float. But I was thinking they needed to raise cash until I found that. So it doesn't look like they were going to see any kind of offering come out of this company today. Okay. So that's the good news. As far as how this is going to trade, we may still see this continue to leak lower before it starts to turn around. I would like to see it not going to lower than 130. That'd be the interesting spot for me if we can get down there and turn around. But we've seen a lot of these coming back later on in the day. This could be one of them. I would just wait and see what this does out of the open. It still has a chance to recapture VWAP, after the bell here. So let's see what we end up getting with this one. I don't know how high or low it's going to go until I get that VWAP recaptured.
Okay. Good stuff there. HSDT. Do you have another one or should I just go down the list here?
Unless the next one on the list is JZXN.
Okay. That I don't even see here anymore.
Oh, that must that China pump must be over.
Okay. Well, let's just do that here real quick. JZXN, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, this stock's up. Okay. So this stock is up a mere 2.45% here. You can see that this was a 100% mover? Almost not quite. This is a big pop earlier, came all the way back in. Since you prepared for this, what is this?
It moved up on news that they're raising capital for Bitcoin.
Okay.
That's basically what it is. Let me give you the actual.
So is this a treasury? Yeah.
I think it is, but
fund Bitcoin reserves. You know what this means.
Okay, so there's more.
Oh no, I just added it to the wrong watch list. God bless it.
Raises funds through convertible notes to acquire Bitcoin, initiating a strategic layout of thousands of Bitcoins. So they're doing what a lot of the market's doing right now.
Okay, I'm cleaning up my mistake here. Sorry about that.
No worries. But this has a float of just under 11 million. This is one that I'm just going to, go out and say, be careful with this one. This is, this could be a completely, bogus headline. I don't know if they're going to actually, go through with what they're going to do with Bitcoin. We've seen that they're going to raise money. A lot of companies from here raise money for this and that, and somehow that money goes away. in a suitcase.
Somehow it goes away.
In a suitcase on a plane that nobody can get to anymore.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Here, INEO. This is the next one that we're going to do here real quick. But I did want to answer a question here. Jeff's asking, what's float? Jeff, float is the amount of shares that are available out there for investors to purchase. Right. So it's just basically how many shares are available. The more shares that are available, the more you reduce the buying power. Right. So if there are only 20,000 shares available for a company and I show up and want to buy 10,000, that means you are going to pay a lot more. Conversely, if a stock has 200 million shares and I show up to buy 10,000, it's not going to affect anything. So that's what float is, a number of outstanding shares that are just kind of freely available to trade. Okay, next here is going to be ticker INEO, India, November, Echo, Oscar is your ticker there. This is Inovia Holdings. This stock was about $1.20 yesterday. We went above the 240 mark here today. Shares are trading higher on no news. All right, there's nothing in here. So thank you, producer, for doing the quick look around the horn for me. Float, as we just talked about, 1.96 million. On average, stock trades 2.14 million shares today. We've traded 30 plus million shares. As far as the short interest goes here, 17.45% of the float shorted there with 1 day to cover. So it meets the criteria for high percent of the float shorted, but doesn't meet the criteria for days to cover. 13, what do you think here on INEO?
Singapore-based provider of OEM third-party branded and in-house branded replacement parts for motor vehicles. So Singapore-based, I think that's the red flag you need to see right there. Be very careful with this one.
Yeah.
This is another company that may or may not be legitimate, but it seems like they're reporting earnings, so maybe there is some hope here. But yeah, on no news, it may have something to do with its, with what the business segment that it's in, the sector. I mean, vehicles that are getting hit with tariffs. So that would be where I would start trying to make sense of it. But don't know the exact reason why it's moving. It just had earnings last month. No news today. I just go to the technicals at this point, and right now the technicals are telling me that this thing may continue to leak lower. It did catch some support around 161, 162. So gonna have to see if that ends up holding up, but hasn't been able to get back above a 65 EMA. So it's still looking like it could go lower, but it also could turn around here. Another one, I'm going to wait to see what happens at the open. VWAP still a bit of a ways away, about 25 cents from the current price.
Okay, we are seeing an uptrending trend line here on the daily chart. We'll see if that ends up mattering here. This pops kind of
good spot. And then you could also do the top side too if you think this is going to blow past the VWAP and go higher. You could do a trend line from some of the highs that we were getting this morning, and drawing it up through the 249 high.
Might as well.
Yeah, may as well. Why not? So
we'll see what happens if this does get wild here today. Here is your trend line. We'll see if we end up getting that. Okay, good stuff here. One more thing, real quick. I have to highlight this comment because this just literally brought me back to my childhood. CA Forsman, Ryan, with all due respect, a float is soda with a scoop of ice cream on top. One of the better summer treats. I don't know how long it's been since I've had a float of any kind, Chris, but that was a good comment right there. Okay, next here is going to be TRNR. This is interactive strength. Now, I can't place this, but I want to say that we have traded this off the scanner before. Perfect. I was hoping you were going to say that. This stock here had 2 volume pops today, both of them ending up with a move higher here in price. 140 looks to a 140-ish. What do we get here? 143 was the high print on that initial spike. Now we're curling back up to that area. We're above the VWAP by a good 15 cents. This was a penny stock yesterday, and this is a dollar stock here today. Quick look around. Oh, excuse me. Let's check out the news here. TRNR enters into a $500 million facility to acquire an AI-focused FET tokens and launch a crypto treasury asset strategy. So you know what this means. This is altcoin treasury that we're going to here. They secured secured $500 million for this AI token acquisition. Stocks up 51% here. We'll see how this trades here today. Quick look around the horn here at the short interest. 4.96% of the float shorted here with 1 day to cover. It comes on an average volume of 2.3 million shares. Today we've traded 19.2 million shares. What do you think, 13?
Well, I think it may have been a little bit of time since we last traded this one, because I've got levels marked off here at 10 and 16 and 24. So this is back in 2024 when we were last trading this, at least by my recollection.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty far distance away from where we're trading at right now. But looks like we did. Looks like we did trade this back in April, I believe. I have some drawings there too. Anyway,
it's interesting. I have this moving here in February, which I feel like we would have definitely volume pop here, multi-day move to the highs. I feel like we definitely would have traded that one. I have that move stalling out there at 396. That pretty much puts 4 on deck here for a key level as well. Also, the bottom end of this sideways area before we broke down from this was the same area that stopped it when we popped back up. I just eyeballed the bottom end of that area at 266.
Yeah, so the $1 level on this stock is you can tell this by since April, having a hard time trying to get back into that, but we are above it in pre-market this morning. So if this is going to certainly turn around, we're going to want to see this go higher into that dollar, and I don't know how high that's going to go. Maybe 130, 140. Don't know if we're going to get any higher than 185, 186, where that 65 EMA is on the daily. But I've been as surprised by some of these things before, so it could certainly surprise me again today. But I don't even know what the news was. You had mentioned it, but I hadn't looked into what it was. And it seems like we're starting to weaken. Secures $500 million for AI token acquisition.
Yeah. So I put this on the altcoin. So I really like how Day Trader kind of broke this down initially. Remember, he created the first 2 watch lists. I just adopted them. We have Bitcoin and Sol as the two main ones, and then everything else under altcoin. We'll see here if Ethereum becomes one of these, but so far that's kind of how I'm going through this. So this one, the way I would rate this is this is not quite as great as some of those other ones. It is popping the stock here though so far. So
yeah, well, so I've got the 143 high in the pre-market here. That'll be one of the level. That's actually the next level I'd be looking for, and then after that we can start looking higher here, but.
Day Trader doesn't even know what AI token they're talking about, and if he doesn't know,
and just
as he said, I love it. As he said, black. Hopefully, I pronounced that right, Day Trader.
Even Jay Channel was saying TRNR always has wonderful pre-market and a disastrous day. It seems to be the case. So just be careful with this one. There's another one. I'd wait to see what happens out of the open. But if something does set up, out of the gate. Don't let me stop you from trading it, but just be careful with it, because it looks like this may end up going lower as the day goes on.
Okay, one more thing here. So first of all, I just kind of going off of Jay's comment here. These types of observations are extremely important for trading, right? So if you notice there's a pattern where stock XYZ doesn't even have to be this specific stock as Jay has mentioned here, but if you notice that a stock has a propensity to do something in the pre-market and then do something else in the regular session, that's valuable for the purpose of trading. Now, I say that because Zach McCracken was asking, why is Singapore a red flag? Don't they have good industry? So the red flag comment that we made had little to do with the people or a specific industry, and more to do with some of the habits of how these companies operate when they get these pumpy headlines. Yeah. That is to say, you'll have this headline that makes it sound all great. The stock trades up 100%, and then all of a sudden money disappears, or the stock gets absolutely sold into, or there's an offer. Something crazy happens here where that almost looks like a pump job. And what 13 is trying to do here is mention that, hey, this is one of those things that we've seen where these stocks tend not to hold their gains. They tend to come back in. 13, is that a fair assessment of what you said earlier?
Oh yeah, when you get some of these other foreign companies that have really low floats and small businesses like these, they tend to not have a lot of really good financial reporting, and it really does turn investors and other folks away from even wanting to get into it. Really great for trading, not great for investing. So that's the kind of red flag I'm looking for here is when it comes to Singapore, is their financials, when you look at them, they're either non-existent or they don't make sense.
Yeah, and I think we've also noticed a similar pattern from Malaysian companies as well, if I'm not mistaken. So there are a couple out there. Again, this has nothing to do with people or a country itself. We're literally going off of the data that we've seen in the past. Real quick here, CA4 has been saying, remember that dude got caned in Singapore? Yes, I did. The other thing is that since I was a little kid, I was always told by my parents when they were teaching me not to steal that if you steal in Singapore, they cut your fingers off. Now, I don't even know if that's true, but it scared the hell out of me for my entire life. That just kind of scared me straight there. That happens in Saudi Arabia. Okay.
That might be Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
I heard of the caning thing, though. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to look at here on this movers list that you followed or anything?
Nothing really looked particularly interesting. We can look at some of the bigger names if you like.
Yeah, I do want to do that. The one last one that I want to mention here is going to be this one, Oost. First of all, it's fun to say. It's fun to say Oost. The ticker's OUST. I just keep saying Oost because I love it and it's fun. And this stock also, if you go back a couple of years on this show, this stock was a popular one. There were a number of people that were trading this one, had bullish cases on this one. I think there was a time where we were really kind of trading this around between like 10 and 13 bucks. Well, now we're seeing a huge move higher here, and look at the ramp that this has made. We've got this expanding volume here on the daily chart. So it's always nice to see a former winner here. This is actually a real company. I don't think this is a pump job or anything like that. Ooster shares are trading higher after the company announced that its OS1 digital LiDAR had been vetted and approved by the Department of Defense for use in unmanned aerial systems. So it looks like you're actually going to get a drone angle on here. Those unmanned aerial systems just screams drone to me. Stock popped here, was about 16 bucks earlier today. This popped above 21, came back and lost its VWAP. So I'm not sure if we're going to have another break of this VWAP and a move to the upside, but this stock has clearly been working. And we've taken a look at this in the past. We're getting a nice little newsprint here, a nice little pop to go with this. David here adding, it was a SPAC and it was 10 before the reverse split. Thank you, David. So here, and I'll pull up that calendar here in a sec. Let me move around. Let me move around here. Percent of float shorted 9.16%, and that comes on 2.58 days to cover. That's on 1.6 million shares of volume. So there is some short interest in there. I'm not sure how big it is. Now, you guys were talking about splits here. Let's go to our split calendar. Indeed, this did a 1-for-10 reverse split in 2023. So this is April of 2023. This is several years old now, that split that you folks are mentioning.
Yeah, they were a SPAC. They merged, looks like, at the end of 2020 in December. So, but, I think the thing that stood out to me the most is the LiDAR. Isn't there a whole, cohort of people that aren't really into the whole LiDAR as a visual system for autonomous vehicles? And now we have them in drones. So curious to see what they think about LiDAR on drones, and if that's going to be a better system than camera or FPV or anything like that. I want to hear it from them. That's the anti-LiDAR crowd. I want to see what their case is against it.
Yeah, this is an ongoing thing in the robo-taxi debate. Which one's better? I think Elon Musk says LiDAR is not needed and expensive to scale, and I think that's what Waymo has chosen. So,
and I'm curious about what it has to do with how it's going to affect Oost. I'm saying Oust, but Oost or whatever.
I might be saying it wrong. I'm literally saying what's fun to say. It might be Oust or Ouster, but I keep calling it Oost. No one's corrected me, so I'm going to keep having some fun. And I think there was someone in here that was trading this all of the time years ago. Okay. We can take a look at any of the big. Oh, we only have 3 minutes left here. I'm going to start here really quickly with Chewy. Jay, I saw that you had said that they had a good report. Indeed, they did. My thought on this played out exactly as I thought it would. When we have a big run like this into earnings, look out, because even if the report is good, the stock is likely to trade down. Chewy down here. Wow, it actually lost 42 in the new lows here. Okay. Chewy down 9.3% here. Again, as a reminder, I'm going to be looking to close this position up. Yesterday, prior to this sprint, I took puts using the profits that I had made from the longs leading into this, thinking exactly this was going to happen. This is a run up into earnings. Even if it beats, it's likely to trade back down a little bit. I took the 42 puts that expire next week. We're going to look to close those here at a gain. Really quickly, just kind of looking at the number here, beat on the top and the bottom line in a guide high, or a guide that was basically in line. But again, here, the estimate or the consensus was kind of at the higher end of the range. So guidance, the sales guidance was below estimates. They made a big run into earnings. The report was still good. Company's still good. But short-term trade here to the short side. We're going to be closing that one up today. Okay, what else? TEM?
Sure.
Tempest AI, I'm seeing it mentioned here in the chat. Dustin asking about Tempest AI. This actually looking like we might break this high. Remember, one of the things that we had said is that if this moves back up, we're likely to see this retest the trend line. Got that in the mid-80s, Reagan era trend line right there. We'll see if we can actually break above this recent high that we put in on May 13th and May 14th, I believe. Yeah, that high up here about 71.5. That's going to be your level to look at here today on TEM. Our RSI is not overcooked yet. MACD is constructive here. So if we do break this, I think we might be able to move up towards that trend line over the next several sessions.
Short interest appears to have increased slightly in TEM.
Okay. Yes, it did. Actually, it did go up a little bit more there. James saying I may actually get my 35 target on Chewy. Boy, if I tell you what, if we get that, I'd actually flip to long. Okay, we are open here. We are open. I'll keep you posted on these 42 puts here for Chewy. Let me flip over to the main workspace.
Waiting to see if KZIA can push higher or if we're going to drop. MACD is looking like it's wants to have it go lower, but getting some good activity out of here at the gate. It's still above VWAP, so let's see what happens here.
Okay, here is KZIA.
JZXN, that's not doing a whole lot yet. INEO. Tempest lower, TRNR, that's trying to get going here. We'll get it out of the gate.
Let me set up my unusual options here. Greater than or equal to 100.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like that a little bit too, Quantum. And it's not even really the trade deal. It's more like the framework. So there's still a lot more negotiating to do with China and these other countries.
Yeah, and you guys don't seem to be alone there. Lion's been consistent on this for a while here, selling all of these pops. We'll see if we get that here as well. 75% winner for Big B's on Tesla on overnight options here. Here's your Tesla chart, still holding higher here at 344. This was really awesome because our entire group talked about this in the happy hour yesterday, and we actually had some very specific targets. I think someone was saying they're looking for a 350 test by, it was Dugan, right? Looking for a 350 test there by the Cybertruck event, if I'm not mistaken.
350, I think. Well, Big B's, I think, was looking at 360, and we had another gentleman that was looking at 350, pretty much in the same area. But yeah, they're looking for those levels after this Tesla event, or at this Tesla event. HSDT trying to turn around after dropping to what looks like 135. Making its way back up to VWAP. KZIA dropping down to VWAP and coming back up. See if that can turn around as well. JZXN, nothing yet. INEO dropped and trying to recover. Seems to be the name of the game this morning.
Okay.
Except for TEM. This thing is going right back down to that pre-market consolidation.
HSDT, one of our low float movers, right? That was one of the really low float ones. Yeah, that was one of our low float movers. This is holding in here, not rocketing yet, but holding in there.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had mentioned that the quantum names were moving here this morning. Lion here, Qubit, QUBT printing. It's funny, I actually came across a podcast yesterday where Martin Shkreli goes against a quantum bull. I sent it to you, 13, but I didn't watch the whole thing yet. I will.
I saw it. I didn't watch it. I saw you send me that, so I'm going to take a look at it. Remind me again why he went to prison.
I think it was he had lied about something.
He lied and he misled investors. So
yeah, and I think
he's got to say, you go for it.
Well, no. So it's funny because in one of those things, he recommends. He's like, "Hey, so I've actually gone to jail for this. So I recommend that the CEOs of some of these companies that are lying lawyer up." Like I said, I'm not going to pick a side. I'm going to let them do that. I don't want to go to jail. By the way, sold to close there, half of that position at $2. So those 42 calls, sold those at $2. I ended up paying 90 cents for those. So nice little 100% plus move there. We're up 115% on that position. We're going to let this other one ride here, and we're going to put a stop 175. on those contracts. Okay.
Man, there is no sun outside today. It just keeps getting darker and darker.
That's okay. You got the blessing from the chat about looking good even in the dark. I think there's like a emo album cover in there and something like that.
Sure. Somebody made a Batman comment earlier. I am the night, whatever. HSDT making its way up to VWAP. KZIA, this is turning around too after testing VWAP. This man, if this thing launches and goes up to that trend line that we drew, be a nice move this morning.
On KZIA?
I was looking at KZIA is
let me I drew that trend line on my movers. I keep drawing those trend lines on the wrong charts, to be honest with you. So, but here you go. Here's your KZIA. Chewy continuing lower here, $40 now. I tell you what, let me know, or we'll see. Excuse me, we'll see if you get your 35 target there, James, on Chewy. These puts are printing. KZIA, so this was a good little trade.
KZIA trying to get over 11. That's the big resistance area. It has did a couple of prints over that, but it hasn't been able to hold above it. Sellers just keep stepping in. Here we go. Now it's trying to push these sellers out of the way. Still running into some resistance, but not looking too bad. Same thing with HSDT. This is the very least, I think the HSDT goes back up to VWAP. We'll see what happens when it gets there.
Yeah, here we go on HSDT. Watch that.
KZIA not able to hold above 11. Now we're coming back down to VWAP. Might even go through it. KZIA is not ready. Okay, we'll give it time. I mean, the MACD is looking not so great on KZIA. HSDT, on the other hand, this thing looks like it's trying to curl up and go higher. We're almost.
This KZIA looks like this is going to test VWAP for lower to my eye.
Yeah, maybe even go
HSDT
down.
Conversely, sorry, 13. HSDT conversely, this also looks like it's going to test that VWAP. I wouldn't be surprised if that pops above. Thank you, Maverick. Appreciate that. Also, you're mentioning Rigetti on that quantum move. Oh, also, so in that podcast, someone's asking me here. It was John asking me, is he right about quantum? Look, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Some of the points that he makes about quantum, I think, are correct. Like, for example, he says that a lot of people don't really understand quantum computing. I think that's correct. I'm pretty tech savvy. I don't fully understand it. I got no problem admitting that. So I don't know if he's going to be right. That's the one thing. What I will say here from that podcast is that even the bull agreed that some of these smaller companies like Rigetti and D-Wave, for example, probably pretenders. Tried to cite IONQ as being one of the companies that's doing it right. Again, I don't know if these guys are going to be right, but it does seem like there's some back and forth in that industry. Here is Rigetti, by the way. Looks like it's wild. QUBT is what you're mentioning, 13?
Yeah. This looks like it's going to burst over yesterday's highs.
Yeah, yes, it does.
When it comes to like the actual quantum and the final state that we're looking towards, sure, that could be a while, but we're not going to see these stocks not move until that comes around. Just as we are not going to see these AI stocks not move until generative AI comes around. How long has these stocks been running for? We're not even anywhere near. Well, I won't say anywhere near, but we're not there at generative AI yet. So the true AI, just like true quantum, we're not going to beat that for a while, but that doesn't mean that these stocks aren't going to absolutely take off and run. There are going to be some players in them.
So there's two things going on here, and I think they often get conflated, and 13's doing a really good job of separating them. The timeline predictions are one thing. The stocks are going to move in between now and then. That and the headlines are likely going to make them move. Like, we already know that. Like, that's not even what this argument is about. And if you're able to trade that, giddy up. Here's an example. We just took out the yesterday's intraday highs here. That 1750 area, that looked like that got destroyed here. QUBT going higher. Joe here saying, sounds like Martin is bag holding IONQ at 55. Sorry, that's my fault for being unclear. From that podcast, again, I have no idea what Martin's positions are, but from the podcast, he doesn't like any of them. The IONQ mention was from the bull, not from Martin. And also remember, prior to this podcast, I had mentioned that IONQ appears to be the better of the group here. So some of the Wall Street folks like Sylvia Jablonski owns that and speaks highly of it. So just to be clear on that.
Yeah. So what's his angle then? If he's not in any of these, and he just wants to talk, I mean, he's just trying to be a bear about all this. And
Yeah, he's saying that I think the way he's saying that these stocks are likely to be volatile and come in maybe even 90%, which I don't disagree with. I think he's trying to. Again, you're asking me to speculate here, so I'm doing the best I can.
No, I was just asking what he's doing. If he said anything about what his plan is, like what is his goal of coming on and trying to?
He has not, as far as I'm aware, he has not stated his goal.
Okay, then I just wouldn't trust it.
There you go. You take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, wouldn't just take the criminal's grain of salt. Yeah, grain of salt for the criminal's word. Sure.
I mean, I can't dispute that. I can't dispute that. Okay.
Oh, I get you, Jeff. I live out here in the Houston area. Yeah, 5 minutes. We'll see if it clears up. We do get some pretty rapidly changing weather out here.
HSDT looked like it tried to make an attempt to go to that VWAP and stop there. NVTS, you're mentioning TLN. This was This was another energy. Yeah, and you guys were mentioning Jay. It looks like you're mentioning here NVTS.
HG. If that's true, then all this bad mouthing and talk of quantum stocks, it makes all the sense in the world to me. And he's absolutely getting crushed in a lot of these. Then
I don't know what his positions are, so I don't speak to that.
Well, I'm just saying if what HG is saying is true, then he's not likely having a great time. All right, so HSDT almost touched this VWAP. Looks like that's pulling off. JXN, this is finally moving here. This is the China pump. That might end up just getting a random burst of activity later on in the day. INEO, that hasn't quite hit its VWAP yet, but it is above the 65 EMA, trying to hold above it. TRNR, this thing approaching $1. It got some support from 99 cents earlier, but doesn't look like it's going to hold above the $1 for too much longer. Boost, still trying to hammer away at that VWAP, trying to get over it.
Tesla, I'm seeing a lot of calls get bought into this move down from the pre-market highs on TSLA.
TEM. Does this look like it's trying to reverse? Looks like it might be trying to reverse here.
Take a look.
It's wicks on the bottom there.
Reverse and go higher here. Yeah, this is actually holding the pre-market area there too. This actually makes sense as a level. This was also the high of the impulse move yesterday.
Yeah, so we'll see if this ends up turning around here. Those wicks on the bottom there may indicate that it's trying to reverse. Still hasn't been able to recapture VWAP though. So if it does recapture VWAP, that might start trading better. Maybe we'll see 70 if that happens.
Chewy rolling back over to the lows here. This has been volatile out of the morning. And just to be clear here on Chewy, this is basically just as they say in basketball, this was a heat check trade. I have actually won on a number of my Chewy trades recently. I think like the last 4 in a row going into this one have been winners for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at it using just profits. And now we're 5 in a row. So this was just a heat check. Love this company. Still want to go long this when this drop is over. They're talking about Chewy on CNBC. Kramer's rubbing his bald head and looking down at the floor. I don't know what that means. Chewy down now 11.5% here.
Crimp Biscuit saying NAKA, N-A-K-A. This having a pretty good morning here. This has a ticker change. It used to be Kindly MD, KDLY. Now it's NAKA. And they made a Bitcoin purchase, 21 as part of its treasury strategy last month. I think we played this one when it did that. But it's having a nice move here this morning on what seems to be no news.
Okay. Jay Walker, do you like that? Keck W. I love getting the Twitch lingo in here. That I can appreciate.
KCI might trend higher. Well, it's certainly recovering. It did get back up to its VWAP. It's still dealing with that 11 area. That is the big area it's got a problem with. So we have a trend line if it pops that and goes higher. 11, 12, and then trend line, I feel like. Yeah, and the move through 11 could be pretty big. So we'll see if we get that volume expansion that helps take the price through and destroy all those shorts.
Joe, lol. Yes, let's get the Twitch lingo in here. Oh man, I'm all for that. By the way, S&P futures here did pull back to that 603. Let me bring up that SPY chart here. I do want to see how the market actually treats this framework of a deal. I think that's going to be important if we get other deals here. China obviously being one of the bigger ones. You can see here the initial move sold off by about 3 points. Let's see where we close up here.
Sideshow saying RCAT's over 9. Quantum of okay, so Barry the Great. Good to see you this morning. Quantum come in different ways. Ionic, Rigetti, QB, D-Wave have different ways of getting to quantum supremacy. All except Ionic requires cold storage. That's great information.
And that, you know what, that actually might be one of the factors that leads to Ionic being one of the stronger names, at least as far as the analysts say. Tessie for Tesla. Tesla's actually been wild. This thing continues to roll over, by the way, on Tesla. I know that they were buying calls into that. Let's see if they're still doing that.
Looks like HSDT did hit that VWAP, and now it is going lower, down to the 65 EMA.
EKS, good mention on Circle earlier. This continues its pop higher here. Also seeing some accompanied call buying there on Circle. The 155s for next week. Good Lord. That's not in the money buy right there.
I am getting rain. Water my plants.
There you go. That means you don't have to go outside and do it yourself.
Nope. I also have a rainbird system.
What is a rainbird system?
Like a sprinkler system.
Where it collects rain and then distributes it to the lawn?
Collects it from the city and distributes it to my lawn.
Okay. So it's actually just like a legit
not a rain storage system. That would
that's what I was wondering. I was like, that's a really good idea. Collect rain, store it, and then water. Yeah, that's a really good plan. Anyone have any experience? Just as kind of an aside, does anyone have any experience with those water filters that you put in your garage? They're the big ones that are blue. They look like this, except they're huge, and then they make it so your water is zero particulates.
I don't know about zero particulates, but it's more of a water softener filtration system. It does filter some stuff out, but not everything.
I'm looking to filter everything out so that I can wash cars with it and not have spots.
CCIA is starting to go here, or at least trying to get over 11.
It needs that 11 break there. I think 11:20 there.
Yeah, it is really trying though.
Kramer endorses Joby.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Zach McCracken is so shook by that he couldn't even type embraces correctly because he knows what that means with the Kramer endorsement. Oh, that's funny.
Maybe he was rubbing his bald head because that's where he wants Joby to land.
I don't even know why I said that. It was just I couldn't hear what they were saying, and he looked very frustrated, and I was like trying to convey his mood by describing what I saw, and for whatever reason I chose bald head, and then I realized after I said it, I was like, that's not the greatest way to describe that.
And Smoke Tuna, that's absolutely it. I'm looking for that volume to take us over these its resistance area of 11, like 11 to 11:20, 25, something in there. Yeah, it's certainly looking like it's trying to do that, but if it can't do it, and pretty soon here, I think it might just come back down. Rip Joby, what happened? Oh, it's because of the Kramer thing.
Yeah. What's spot O?
I don't think it uses dry cork crimp biscuit. It's not like a super sophisticated system. It's just pipes and timers, really. And I can
market is pulling here. Good call, Izzy. We continuing to move back down to the 600 level. So far, the market's selling the deal framework that we've got and the CPI. So it almost makes me wonder if that was a sell the news event. Now, don't forget, we've got the PPI print coming tomorrow. So we'll see what the inflation measure was going into the producers as opposed to at the consumer level. See if we get more of a market pull here. Sorry, 13.
Eric was asking if anybody is trading the VOYG IPO.
Oh, thank you. That's what I wanted to mention, and I didn't get to it. That's what I wanted to mention. So we have an upcoming IPO here today. VOYG is Voyager Technologies. I reached out to a couple of people in my system that know a bit about some of these newer stocks, and there is a consensus. This is a good one. You should watch it. You should watch it. So I am going to be looking for VOYG today. I think a lot depends on where it opens at and how it trades. But yes, I am looking into this. It's spot zero, like the number. It's a 0 spot water system. I think that's exactly what I'm looking for here. I'm basically wondering how expensive they are.
It seems like it's. I mean, if it's still like a water softening system that also filters, you're going to have to consistently buy large bags of salt for it. That's the osmosis process.
Yeah, the reverse osmosis. That's exactly what I'm thinking here. So
yep.
Seawater to water maker to spot. Because again, if you see the cool thing about this, and again, I'm nerding out here, so I'm sorry about that. If you wash cars with this water, you don't have to dry them because they don't leave water spots. Just better. Anyway, interesting. Thank you. Spot zero. I'll take a look at that when I have some time. Okay.
SQQQ just popped up.
Oh, I bet that popped
to 22 and then came back in. I don't know how much we're going to get out of the SQQQ, but 2206 was the high pre-market. And looking like KZIA is going to fall out of bed here unless a buyer stepped in at about 980. Let's see what else is having a day. All right, so HSDT is getting support from its 65 EMA. JZXN, after a brief move up to 340, that came back down to the near the pre-market low. INEO just sideways today. TRNR popped out of the gate, went lower, still not beneath its 65 EMA. Maybe watch this one. See what this let's draw a line here. See what this does right here. This current candle can potentially reverse it because it's at $1 TRNR. So if we go lower, then this thing is probably going to be done for the day. But if it reverses here, and goes on to recapture VWAP, might go further into these into the dollar here, like 140. So we'll see if that ends up happening.
Answering some more.
That's all the SQQQ you really want to use for. It's a directional ETF based, Jay. I don't think that's something you want to even remotely hold on to.
No, we have been very clear about that, though. Not to push back on you, but I'm going to push back on you. We have been extremely clear about how you properly use these levered ETF products. They're not for holding. They are only for the active trader, of which we have many in here. By the way, join us tomorrow morning as I have folks from Sprott on. They're actually going to be talking about ETFs that are designed for longer term holds. So I'm going to bring you both of that. And we've talked with Direction before. We trade some of these ETFs that are levered. I'm actually going to bring on some folks that are going to talk about long-term investing ETFs tomorrow. So nice little segue there. OKLO continuing to the highs here. What didn't we have a stock that had this earlier? Oh, God, the stock
not SMR. It was one of the other nuclear.
It was TLN, right? Yeah, TLN, Talon Energy, announced it is expanding its nuclear energy relationship with Amazon to provide carbon-free energy from its Susquehanna nuclear plant to AWS data centers in the region.
Did you see the news for Oklo?
What's that?
Did you see the news for Oklo?
Selected to provide clean nuclear power for Air Force Base in Alaska under the Defense Department.
Yeah.
So I think that the theme here is what I'm trying to get at. This nuclear stuff not going away.
Nope. No, but I think that's the American angle for clean energy.
Yeah, Jay, that's what I was trying to highlight. So we're talking more about OKLO, but we had another stock in the same thing here, doing the same thing here.
JZXN, this thing just fell out of bed, so.
We knew that was going to happen. Yeah. We kind of called that early.
Yeah, glad that we just kind of avoided that altogether. HSDT did have another move up to VWAP. That's pulling back now. KZIA still trying to hold 10. INEO. This finally getting some more activity. Volume's still not great though. Oost trying to get over VWAP. Trying to do that. And TEM, this thing is just really falling out of bed. Well,
sorry, I'm trying to close up some stuff here real quick. Okay, should be good there. Okay, so that market pull got bought, at least so far.
Circle's coming back up to yesterday's open. It's making its way there.
EKS, are you trading Circle? Let me know.
SMR and LEO, says John.
And then Oklo obviously fits into that. Trying to sell off the rest of these Chewy puts. I'd actually like for this to bottom so I can get back into the long side trade on Chewy. That would be ideal.
All right, so KZI under $10 now. These movers just not really that great this morning.
No, the quantum movers are actually the best today. Yeah. Interestingly enough, QUBT, the leader there. This Beamer image, the GPU accelerated video compression solution for autonomous vehicles with an NVIDIA mention there. I'm actually still, I guess, up 21%. That's a pretty good move. How's Joby doing after the kiss of death from Kramer there? Gabrielle from Twitter asking if there's anything on sound. This is one that we check often. Nothing here today on SoundHound. I'm impressed it's still doing a good job holding in here. Did we have any news on this? Nope. The Form 144. This is interesting. So they PR'd this not yesterday, a week from yesterday. In-car voice commerce could unlock a $35 billion annually for automakers. I guess sound would be a beneficiary of that. I'm skeptical of that, though. I don't really have anything here for you on sound 13, unless you've got, let me check on my bigger chart here. Unless you see something that really kind of stands out on the chart here. Yeah, it's basically just this battle. It's basically just this battle, Gabriel. We're waiting for this to either make it. We want to know what the next decision is going to be. We have a trend line that goes from its all-time high that we set back in December of last year, the end of December, there, right around Christmas time. And we've really kind of moved down, but we've been basing here since about February. We're sitting right on the 200, and now we're basically testing this trend line, and we've been unable to move above it. So the resolution of these 2 points in here, let's call it 9 to 10. Let's call it $9.80 to $10. This is going to be what's going to determine what we do here in sound. RSI right in the middle, MACD kind of neutral. The break of this is going to determine our next direction here. SOUN. All right, let me move back to my main workspace. Out remainder of Chewy. That was a monster trade. That is, I have very rarely trade earnings prints well, but I'll take it. Chewy has continued to pay, and now Buddy is going to get spoiled on the next order. He's going to get a new toy because of this. You're welcome, Gabriel. CA4 has been unleashed the sound hounds. That reminds me of an epic Simpsons quote. Release the hounds. What are you going to do? Release the hounds or the bees or the hounds that shoot bees out of their mouth when they bark? There we go.
Jeez.
Take care of yourself, day trader. Have a good day at work. Thank you for the kind words.
Yep, take care. Hey, nice. Gil Whopper making the most out of KZIA. That one has not moved too well this morning, so good job on getting something out of it.
This might be a breakdown.
Oh, yeah. For sure. This looks like this is going to continue to go lower, but looking for support around 8. All right, it looks like the quantum names are also starting to pull here. Oost, this looks like it's about to get going. Got to get over 19, it looks like.
HSDT coming back to its VWAP. This VWAP is going to tell the story here.
Yep. And probably draw a trend line with some of this data that we have here. So we're about to break this trend line.
Oh, gosh.
If we measure from the top to the most recent high before this.
Decision point coming here, HSDT.
Need to see big volume expansion to get through these sellers between 160 and 165. Look at all these quantum names starting to pull now.
Hunter Lett asking if we can take a look at PCG. Isn't that PG&E? This is the electric company in California, right?
Yes.
Yes, this is. This got smacked on the fires, right?
A while back, yeah. This must be something else hitting it now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's actually tried to bounce off that. Now it's rolled over and going after new lows here. This down 3.2% here.
Is there any lawsuits outstanding with this?
That's what I'm looking for here.
They were downgraded to a sell by CFRA earlier this month. Is there a wildfire that broke out that we just haven't heard about yet?
Not that I'm aware of. They gave a readiness update here, June 6th. They gave a wildfire season readiness update.
No.
Yeah, I would imagine you're going to have to focus on that after what just happened.
Yeah, this was the campfire situation with PCG, I believe.
Okay.
Let's see if there's any news. Let's see if I can find anything. I don't see anything really, in the market really moving right now. So let's just see here. See if there's any news today.
And this Rhett asking if this is the electric company that caused the Paradise Palisade, I think is what you...
No, that would be Southern California Edison. That ticker is EIX.
Yeah, that was another one that we have looked at here. Thank you for reminding me of the ticker. I couldn't remember what it is.
Okay. It may have something to do with this lawsuit by... Okay, so there are multiple lawsuits, it looks like. More customers now eligible for a discount of up to 18%. Off of their PG&E electric bills. Looks like Cal Fire also sued them. That was some recent news in the past 24 hours. I can't really find anything, but it looks like this customer discount program might be one of the big reasons why it's falling. We'll have to see if there's a headline that comes across here, but I don't see anything that would that I can pin this on this down move. Could be that though. All right, how are we doing with these movers? Are they waking up yet?
No. QSG. This we didn't really talk about this one. We mentioned this yesterday because this had a huge run. Someone else mentioned this. This had a huge. Kathy, was this the one that you mentioned yesterday? No, that was AZIA, right? That was the stock of the day yesterday. QSG, this had a huge move yesterday. It looks like we're trying to take out the pre-market highs again here. We talked about this one as part of the quantum update or as part of the quantum theme before, and then we figured out that it wasn't quantum related. Lifestyle solutions provider. What on earth does that mean? The company offers engaging, affordable, and accessible online and offline services, as well as consumer products in selected areas that address adult learners. The group has expanded into pop toy sector and continues to strategically diversify its portfolio by capturing opportunities in consumer sectors while maintaining financial discipline.
NAOV getting mentioned by the chat. This is moving up on guidance. It says it's highlighted guidance, but it's actually a feeding to guidance system. So it's regulatory clearance that this company is getting. So that's why it's moving up to this morning.
Kathy, to answer your question here, thoughts on QSG. So I don't know a whole lot about this. just kind of looking around here, it does look like it has a little bit of coverage here, but it actually looks like it met all of those targets and met them in due time, right? So it looks like it actually met these targets as a Citigroup, Noble, the two firms that have it here. I don't, it's got a good momentum rating. It's got great trend ratings. Are there earnings?
And AOV also a short squeeze. Oh, yeah, you're right about that. 27% of the float shorted, 8.86 days to cover. That is a reduction off the 43% of the float shorted from the last update. But you're right. This is still definitely a short squeeze candidate, and that's probably what we're seeing here today off this news. Good mention,
Kathy. This is a nice move here. I wouldn't chase this move, but this is a good one. I'd actually be selling into this if I had a position on this. Just saying. 13. That was NAOV.
Yeah, it's pulling off the high that it just made, but great mention though. Another low float short squeeze mover with potential regulatory approval on their device.
Okay.
What's MODV doing here?
This is popping on volume. Do we have news here? Tuesday, June 10th? No news here. This up 30%. All right, 13. I'm going to step away for just one sec. BRB.
Sure. What should we be looking at? Not selling an AOV until you get to 220, says Market Sniper. Where's that at? It was like just past 160 a moment ago. So 220, huh? See what you're seeing there. Is there something I can see on a daily chart that's telling me 220, or is this something from like something else? Oh, okay. So there's a nice move back over the 20-day SMA. Haven't seen that happen since last month. Oh, actually, no, before then, April. HSDT is getting mentioned here. What is this, turning around and trying to move through VWAP or through VWAP? Yeah, hasn't quite got back up there yet. Still hasn't broken that downtrend line either. Does look like it wants to go back up though, doesn't it? MODV waiting for a micro pullback. Okay. Looks like PFE is breaking out. That did crush earnings with profits of 92 cents. Was a 26 beat. Let me see what we got here. Don't think I quite understand the.
What's up? What can I help with?
Well, I'm reading what Michael Anthony's comment was here on PFE, and I'm not sure what he's trying to say here, but I don't see earnings that recently, unless you're talking about upcoming earnings, which that doesn't have until
look at OKLO
next month. So
new highs as OKLO breaking through the double top there at 60.
And HSDT through VWAP trying to go higher.
And through the trend line that I have drawn.
Yep, that too.
175 next spot here. Oh, Jay Rice, who do you have for the U.S. Open? Who do you like? And what is the winning? Is the winning score going to be positive or negative? Out of curiosity, you let me know. What's this VTAC? This penny stock? Nobody's mentioning that one. Good. We're leveling up then.
Nice stuff, Joe. He's got 3 for 3. Uber, Joby, and LAES.
Yeah, he mentioned Uber earlier. Sorry, I couldn't get to it. We'll take a look at Uber here now. See what happens if Uber gets to this trend line. Uber's still in the process of filling in the Head and Shoulders.
Yep. Oh, those jerks in HSDT stopped me out, but that's okay. Now it's gonna go. Now it's gonna go.
That's I hate that, man.
Well,
you're also getting that volume to expand a little bit there.
Yeah, I raised my stop, so that's my fault. But it's just what I do. Oh, and that's why, because now it just pulled. So that's why I do that. ALLR, close it. Okay, so hell are, I don't say that, is that a lure? Hilarity. Okay. Wow, didn't this thing used to be like a few bucks not that long ago? No. I must be thinking of something else. Wait a minute. This must have really reverse split into oblivion.
Around here. Sorry, I'm looking around for some other stuff. Netflix is being a little strong here today. Apple back down. I don't really see anything else crazy out there.
Yeah, nothing looking really that great.
Market is holding. So after that pullback, it did not break down further here. So they're not selling that news. They just sold it initially a little bit, but it's not moving lower here yet. You think we get any type of surprise on the PPI tomorrow that maybe brings this back?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It might have more to do with jobless claims, but we'll see if that's the case or not. I don't know. Beyond this economic report, the only other ones I'm looking forward to are going to be GDP and PCE. Oost still making its way towards 20. That's probably one of the ones having a better day today. Rigetti just came back. Is all the quantum names kind of rebounding? It looks like they're starting to. QUBT is coming up to this trend line. I don't know if you have this on your chart, but you can draw, if you have like a smaller time frame chart, like 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, whatever, using the, what was the 6th? Friday's.
Got it. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. We're going to start right here. We're going to draw it through the highs that were made yesterday. Yeah. And that trend line is going to be about right here. We might be testing that. There you go.
There it is. So nice thing about HSDT now is that it's above VWAP and it's holding above VWAP. And if it can continue to hold above VWAP, it might go higher. Right now, the big resistance level looks like to be 175. Since it lost that level in pre-market, has been having a hard time recapturing it.
Is he mentioning Fubo? What's Fubo doing here today? Spiking, a little bit of volume there. Tuna, what are the big volume movers that you see out there? Do you like any of them? NAOV pulled off its high. HSDT broke that trend line and is just kind of sitting here. This might gear for the next move higher. Let's see if this churns and moves sideways at all.
And Hasbro's been the slow grinder up, but if it gets to like 71, might pull off of that level for a little bit. This is one I had mentioned earlier in the week. If hover copies oust, it'll break. Okay. You know what, Joseph Schmo? I think that we might end up seeing something like that in a not too distant future, because Musk has already said that he regrets some of the comments that he made.
Yeah.
So I think the bromance might be on in a little while. We'll see. It was for some great entertainment though. I know that I was getting into the popcorn.
Rigetti, RGTX, the leveraged long ETF, ripping here, up 30%. Boy, I tell you what, Rigetti must still be doing all right.
Rigetti?
Yeah, it's at the highs. Are the rest of the quantums doing this, or is it just, yep, rest of the quantums. So QUBT is going for that trend line.
Yep. And it's trying to break, let's see, what it,
yeah, God, good Lord.
1950 looks like that's going to be the spot. 1950, 1955. Let's see if that's interesting. Let's go ahead.
NPPTF. This is not a ticker that we've ever really looked at before. A SpaceX and Bitcoin Canadian ETF. That's up 8% here. This thing's got a Neptune Digital Assets.
All right, let me look.
It's OTC, so let's not get too excited here.
What'd you say the ticker was?
NPPTF. Nancy, Papa, Tango, Frank. I guess Foxtrot is what I should have said, but
okay. Just trying to look and see if I can find more about this. Because if they do hold that, that'd be interesting.
Neptune Digital Assets is engaged in the business of that building, owning, and operating digital currency infrastructure assets. Its core assets are Bitcoin mining equipment and digital currencies, and its primary business model is to generate Bitcoin. Its ancillary activities include staking and lending various digital currencies to earn interest and staking rewards. It operates in Canada and the United States. So I don't see anything here that has to do with SpaceX, but the Bitcoin angle, pretty clear.
Trying to see if I can see the holdings of it, but I'm not getting.
Yeah, that is interesting. That is interesting. Not a ticker I've ever looked at. I'm not sure I'm ready to buy that though.
I have to look some more into this some more. Not going to do it live.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Oost trying to go for 20 right there. LEU, that's going wild still. Up another 10% here today, another $16.
Rigetti.
Jay, sorry, 13, really quick. Jay, where does this rate on your best trade meter? I feel like this thing does nothing but go up. Get in there, 13.
Rigetti's over 13 now, not me, but the price. And if you look at a daily chart, I don't know if you've got the trend line drawn there, but I'm sure you're going to do it now.
I sure am.
Almost there. I wonder how the space stocks are doing today, since we're kind of with all these, these big movers from the end of last year coming back up. Looks like some of the space stocks are doing all right. Cooler's up 6%. Side of Space is up 5%. Not everything's up, but
Rocket Lab's up slightly. Redwire's up slightly. Virgin Galactic down slightly. So it looks mixed across the board there.
Yep.
Best trade ever for me, says Jay, on LEU. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you shared your best trade ever here with the group. That is fantastic.
Crow is saying SBET's going to squeeze.
Interesting. As of November, Neptune held approximately 32,000 SOL tokens. Okay. SBET's going to squeeze. That's what you were looking at, 13?
Yeah, that's what Crow was saying.
Right to that 39.5 resistance area.
These quantum names are okay. Well, there goes QUBT through the trend line. These quantum names are just blasting off right now. HSDT, little. I mean, we need to see this move beyond 175, or else I'd be concerned that this could pull. Starting to put in some upper shadows, going right to that level. So if it can't get through 175, I think I'd exercise some pretty extreme caution on this to the downside. It could go, but at the same time, if it doesn't get over that, yeah, it could go, but if it doesn't get over that 175, I think it comes back in. And it's right there. Gotta see expanding volume here. Chipping away at it.
That 175. I kind of want to. I'm going to put this in my other chart. I was leaving Voyager in there because I want to know when that opens. Yeah, that 175 spot's what we got to clear here.
ACHR is gone, like gone up or gone down? Gone up.
Here's your 175. They're hitting it and through. Yep. Big pop to 180 right there.
Yep. Want to see some big follow through. Otherwise, just going to pull it right back down.
Archer moving better than Joby on the Joby recommendation, by the way. HSDT, that was the break that we needed, Tuna. You think it goes now, Tuna?
They're starting to hit the 185 area.
This was a good mention. Well, I didn't trade this one, but whoever's in this one, really good stuff. Really good stuff here again from our chat group with trading ideas. You guys continue to outdo yourselves on a regular basis. Thank you. GB Slice. NPPTF owns 32,126 shares of SpaceX they get from Hive for accredited investors. Okay. QUBT through the trend line.
Yep. And 20. Well, it tested
It
20.
did pop, yeah. Nice
Look
job, Mama Bear.
Look at Ionic.
IONQ.
Yeah, this is either going to triple top or we're going to go higher. I mean, if you look at the 5-minute chart over the past few days, this $45 level.
Oh my, yeah.
In the resistance area.
So, what is all this quantum stuff going on?
They're squeezing out that Martin guy.
Interesting. So is that really what we're attributing this to? That's wild.
No. I'm totally joking. I don't know that that's the reason or not. But
squeezing out this Martin guy. Oh man.
Well, I mean, they're sending him back to prison. I don't know. What do you want me to say? It's on an absolute run right now. I think maybe it could be some short squeezing. What's the short interest of all these?
I mean, Bitcoin is almost at 111K on the futures. That's making highs.
There you go. So you're getting the speculative, risk on is certainly happening. And then what's more risky than maybe some of these these other Bitcoin stock. Oh, he said a few things about it. Oh, yes,
Direct Designs is right. Yep,
he did. That's right. He was mentioning it was today, wasn't it, when he was speaking. He's been speaking with other countries. What's the country he's in right now?
Sorry, I was completely distracted.
I know what you're talking about because I remember reading that article today, but I don't remember where he was saying it from. But yes, he did mention quantum. Yep.
That was a couple of days ago. I think we actually mentioned that. Today's Wednesday, right? Let me go back to the Monday news slate that I had. I think I covered Jensen's comments on there. No, you know what? The Monday update was Jensen's UK NVIDIA AI plan to train workers in the UK. That's what we talked about on Monday.
NVIDIA CEO, anyway. Quantum computing is reaching an inflection point. That's
what it is.
That was his keynote speech in Paris. That's what it was. The developers conference in Paris. That's where I was wondering what country is he in. So yes, and quantum is reaching an inflection point. So when when you have Jensen, who famously made the case earlier that quantum's years away, is now saying we're in an inflection point. What does that do for you?
Makes me question some of the other things that he said.
Oh, absolutely.
Why'd you flip-flop that fast, bro?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know what companies Jensen is involved with through stock or other means that have to do with quantum. That's what I'd really like to know. HSDT still reteasing that 175 area.
Yeah, I got support from VWAP, but I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know. Look at the weekly on Bitcoin. What are you seeing?
Sorry, I keep you on it. All right, here we go. Voyager Technologies CPO. Good Lord, Ryan, get it together. CEO on the IPO. He's talking on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange right now. So the three segments: defense and national security, space solutions, and Starlab, commercial space stations. So you can add Voyager here to your space theme.
What's ticker?
VOYG at IPOs today. It was priced at 26, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. I have no indication on what it's going to open at. It was priced here 26 to 29 was your range.
Looking at the weekly for Bitcoin, still looks like we could end up seeing some kind of resistance at the current price that we're at. The all-time high for Bitcoin is 112, but we're at 110. So Bitcoin needs to retest trendline support at 107.5. Let's see what that looks like.
Where's that trend line from? Just out of curiosity. Daniel's saying that the indicated price on VOYG 31. Okay. Almost wonder if that's going to pop and drop and then go to the highs. Market continuing to tick up here, by the way. Remember, 606.40 was the high we made off the CPI print in the pre-market. We're currently at 604.67 right now.
Wonder what the FedWatch tool is saying now that we have that out of the way, if they're anticipating any changes in rates. I think that the consensus is still that there's going to be no rate changes at the next meeting. Looks like that's still the case, but I wonder if we're seeing any changes for upcoming meetings. Looks like September has the greatest expectation for a rate cut at this stage.
Okay. So this is what you're looking at, right?
Yes.
And you basically clicked on this right at the top?
No, that's 2026.
Oops. God bless it.
That's all those gray highlighted ones are 2026. So you want to go to the left.
Yeah. June 18, 2025. Here we go. And so this is the one that you're talking about, September, where it shows a significant thank you, by the way.
Yep. So July doesn't look like there's too much of a change. This September looks like that's the expected rate cut meeting. So.
Okay, that would still be good for our rocket trade, frankly.
Yeah. Looks like HSDT isn't quite finished
Especially
yet.
More than one.
Trying to go up to 185. Volume needs to be better than this. I don't know if it's enough.
Britt, hi guys. Can you explain how to draw trend lines on HSDT? Yeah. So basically what we did here, first of all, when we draw trend lines, we're eyeballing where some of the reversal points are, right? So you saw HSDT rocket to the highs on volume and then turn around. And then after we gave it some time, we noticed that a series of these highs formed a trend line. So we basically just used the trend line tool here and drew and connected those points. Well, the point of doing the trend line here is to try and take a point in the past and relate it to a recent point or what is literally going on today. The best example of this, or I think the most easy to understand example of this, is on SPY, where we basically drew this from the all-time high to the recent high. And then we watched the action when that trend line got retested. Anything that you want to add to this, 13?
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
So it's okay.
I was letting you handle it. You were doing just fine. I was looking at all these other quantum names that are still grinding higher.
Yeah, I was just trying. Britt, let me know if that answers your question or if we need to go into that a little bit more. As far as HSDT, we were basically looking at the tops from the pre-market today. And I think I drew this poorly, Britt. I think I should have drawn this through the intraday top right here. Nonetheless, the same thing happened. HSDT. Now, instead of a trend line, it looks like this 185 level, which if I zoom in, you can see the wicks were stopping right here at 185 and multiple. Here we go. This 185 might be coming up here as a test for HSDT.
Yeah, and the nice thing about doing trend lines like this is that they indicate a potential area where volume could expand, because that's what happened in order to get through the trend line, and it led to a recapture of the VWAP. So we use these to identify where we not only are going to get these moves to the upside, but where volume could begin to pick up, because it's going to take a high volume metric move in order to get through some of these trend lines, because they're being viewed as resistance.
I'm seeing TTD trade to the highs. I see a Twitter options trader that I've been following for years is trading that short term. So maybe that'll bring some buying volume into that. Oklo put in another HOD. I don't even see it on my scanner right now. Here, OKLO. Good Lord. Philip saying, surely QUBT got to be a short soon. 35% increase in a day is mental. So, word of warning. I actually did try to do exactly your thesis here, Phil. What was it? Not last week, but the week before, right? I tried to short QUBT by buying puts. Just to be clear, I would not go short the equity here. I would absolutely use puts for this. But I tried to do this earlier just on a huge move that it made. I was basically just trying to play a regression back to the mean. Like it made a huge move higher. I wanted this to come back in. It didn't. Or maybe it was QBTS, actually. It was D-Wave, I think. I'm getting these quantum names mixed up now. Yeah, it was this one. It was right up here. And we came back in a little bit, not enough for my puts to appreciate. Those expired worthless, and I took the L. But maybe this does end up breaking down here. QBTS.
QUBT is absolutely just rocketing here. And Honey Badger.
It's crazy.
You wouldn't be shocked if Jensen has AMD and even Intel stock. So what's up? Just so you know, Jensen and the CEO of AMD, don't remember her name, they're cousins.
Lisa Su is her name.
They are cousins. So it wouldn't surprise me if they had each other's stock. Look at this thing. QUBT is just, it's going for 21. There's a wall here at 2090, though. Deleted. Just like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching this like I'm thinking about Philip's comment here. Like this to me, the trade here is not to chase this move higher, but instead to short this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could roll some of those chewy profits into this trade. Oh my God, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Is that coffee not working?
I don't know. Like I like all of a sudden, like it's when I'm talking, it's like something with like the air in my stomach or something like that. Like it makes me like stop for a sec. I'm okay. I mean, everything's fine. It's just, I'm sorry I had to keep breaking off there. So I'm looking at this, the option chain here for QUBT. I mean, the implied volatility is just jacked on this. The ones that expired this week, 315% implied volatility. I mean, the option chain for this week is mental. You want to talk about something that's mental, the option chain pricing is what's mental. You know, depending on what these are doing, we might want to set up a low-risk options trade to the downside with Anne-Marie on Friday. I guess we could, if we asked nicely enough, maybe Amanda would help us out here. She probably won't help me out, though, because I'm a Bears fan. But for the rest of you that don't root for the Bears, she might be able to help you out with a trade.
You might begin the poll here now, by the way. Here's QUBT with putting its first red candle in, probably the last half hour.
You need a Celsius. I don't think I need more carbonation. I think that is a recipe for disaster, especially in the morning.
And he'll explode.
Those pretzels are making me thirsty. Oh, Crow, can always count on you for a Seinfeld quote or encouragement to make a Seinfeld quote.
Might get another move. Okay, so OUST has a wall of sellers at 1975. It's trying to get through here. We see some volume expand. Could take that out and go to the potentially the pre-market highs, 21.27.
Lion, appreciate this. Ryan, we may have a few more days for QUBT to run up because it's a momentum trade at this point. So let's talk about this because I actually think this discussion could be pretty good here for the group. Does anyone have any hard and fast rules about shorting parabolic moves? In other words, do you not short for 1, 2, 3 days? What signs do you look for that the parabolic move is either slowing down or ending, whether it be wicks or a particular level or something of that nature? What rules do you folks have for opening up a new short position on something that's moving to the highs very, very fast? Aura Alpha with the easiest answer so far here. Yeah, I never do it, which I can appreciate, Aura. But for those of you that do it, let me know. Generally speaking, when you get a ramp like this, especially if it's a company that people have heard of, I think it's a general rule. Don't short day one. Joe here saying this is, and you know what? This is another reason why I'm bringing this up, Joe, is because CoreWeave was a topic of discussion on this show for how many weeks recently? And that thing continues to trade up here. I got scorched on CoreWeave puts. Totally get it. I got scorched on the QBTS puts that I took when I tried to make that same trade.
TEM trying to move over the 65 EMA. volume needs to be better, but this is looking like it's trying to get maybe up to 70. It just started taking out that 65 EMA on this 5-minute chart.
I'm sorry, which ticker?
TEM.
Oh, TEM. Okay.
So volume's low. Not sure if it's going to do a whole lot, but it moved over 69 and the 65 EMA. QBT really coming back in. It might actually just come back into the top of this the top of this trend line that we drew and find support there. So that'd be something to watch for.
I mean, that would make sense. All I have to do is say don't short at day one, and it will crater on day one to make me look like a complete dumbass. So I'm not even surprised if that's what ends up happening here.
OUST through that level at $20 area, or I think it was like 1980 something, but it's through it one way or the other. Looking for 21.27.
Jay, I appreciate this answer. Thank you. Watch the implied volatility on those parabolic moves. You can sell calls on the IV pump. Shorting might be too difficult. This is thank you, Jay. This is awesome. This is awesome. Or Alpha with a less practical move here. Just flip your charts over and reverse the buttons on your keyboard. I don't recommend that.
Instructions unclear. I turn my desk over.
Although if you do want to play a prank on somebody, for those of you that don't use the home row or can't really type without looking at the keyboard, if you know somebody and they have a mechanical keyboard, you can always take a couple of letters. I generally don't go more than 3 letters. But take 3 letters off and then replace them with another 3 letters on the keyboard. So when they type G, maybe they type a T instead. Trust me, that will drive people insane. It only works on a select group of people, though. I don't know why I'm sharing this with you, but deep thoughts on a Wednesday here with Ryan.
Piss off your coworkers with Ryan Paluna.
I don't do this to my coworkers. That is a big no-no. First of all, a lot of us work remotely, but it's a big no-no with the coworkers. Big no-no with the coworkers.
I was looking at CoreWeave because you had mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to see if it was going to break that top. Man, did it get close. 166.03, and the high is 166.63. So 60 cents away from that, from me being wrong, I guess.
So what you're saying is your short call is still working.
It's still working, but man, was that close. Now we need to come down and lose. I think we need to lose 146, 147. That would really accelerate the downside, I think.
Okay. Good stuff there. How does anyone not look at the keyboard? Smoke Tuna says that would not work on me. I do not look at the keys. There we go. Like I said, it only works on some people. Joe here. This is a good discussion point. What do you guys think for your targets on Chewy on this move down? I'm interested in that too, by the way. Headed back to the April level of 30. I personally don't think it's going to go to 30, Joe. I could be wrong on that. I don't think it's going to fall that much. I'm interested here if it does, in fact, hold 40 for a day or two here and maybe go sideways. I might be interested in doing that one as well.
I was being asked about BTM. This is a Bitcoin or a crypto ATM operator. Is what my understanding is. Let's see. That was I think it was Jonathan that was asking me about this. Yes, Jonathan Cooper. What do we? I think it has instruments at 1150. So are you referring to like warrants that are exercisable there, or what are you referring to instruments?
Ryan, was this done to you? Tell us the truth. No, this wasn't. This was an idea that I got one day when I was pulling my own keys off my own keyboard to clean them, because I have a mechanical keyboard that I very much like and don't want to replace. And I'm grossed out by a bunch of gross stuff on the keyboard. So I just clean my stuff. And I thought to myself, you know what would be diabolical is if you put these keys back on somebody else's keyboard incorrectly. So there you go. Amanda, appreciate this. If you are neutral to bullish, you can buy the stock at around 20 and immediately go sell a November 20 covered calls for about $600. Now your cost basis is 14. And if you get called away, you're up $600. I like it. If you don't get called away, you can keep selling the calls until you do get called away. Anne Marie has talked about this trade a few times, Amanda. That's good stuff there. What's the Nick Cage Chrome extension? Or do I even want to know? The John Cena keyboard? What on earth are you guys? I don't even know if I want to know this.
Amanda, is there an Owen Wilson one that every time you type it just goes, wow? It's got to be one, I'm sure. Okay, so warrants at 1150. So okay, that was the case that you were asking. I'll look and see. But this one, I mean, kind of interesting, especially if Bitcoin's going to be adopted for wider use. An ATM operator, that could be great. But let me see here as far as what I find on the news.
Voyager's still not open, by the way. CoreWeave, that one, I'll tell you what, that 166, 165 spot, that might be the high. Rhett's asking, looking to clean up my charts, pivot point useful or stick with VWAP? Thank you. So this is actually a really good question, and I'd actually like to open this up to the group because I'd like to get some more opinion on pivots. I actually use Person's Pivots Study in Thinkorswim, but I use it on a 5-minute chart on my main chart, and I also plop it on the 5-minute chart for the S&P futures and the SPY. And those pivots do a pretty good job of telling us where that market's likely going to go to. So I kind of like them. But I would not trade VWAP for anything. VWAP, I think, is probably my most widely used indicator. It's built on a random, the John Cena keyboard is built on a random number generator, and every once in a great while, your page will load and scream, his name is John Cena. Jeez. That would, you know what? If it's very intermittent, that would drive me insane. That is a good burn. I shouldn't even be saying this live on the internet. Probably not the best idea. That would drive me insane. I would not be able to figure that out very quickly.
And yes, Jonathan, they do have warrants exercisable at 1150. That ticker is BTMWW.
I have it on the 5-minute also. There you go, Rhett. To me, it works the most on the 5-minute. Edward here, this comment. Ryan, I never used to get tired until I moved to the U.S. and consumed these energy drinks. They're designed to make you reliant on them, so now I've detoxed and my energy is back. That's a success story there. I will say I still use coffee every day, but my energy has been improved. I think from just kind of a more regular sleep cycle and a higher protein diet.
Are you do you have a 5-minute chart for QUBT up? Because it's getting support from that trend line. It is getting support. And Crow, I think you mentioned SBET was going to squeeze. Certainly did that. It was it was like around 38 when you had mentioned that. Now we're at 43.
Apple at the lows here, by the way, folks.
And it's still squeezing. Looks like the next area. You tell me if this is what you're seeing here, Crow, but 46 looks like the next area of resistance for SBET.
What do I think about MongoDB? I think that our community, in particular our happy hour, which discussed this particular trade and trade setup, was a good one. I want to see what happened. I got no problem waiting this out. Now, the initial trade that we talked about, did we talk about that on the morning show here, or was this just something in happy hour?
So what I think happened is we talked about it in happy hour, and then we were asked about it on the morning show one of the days after that, and we were like, oh, yeah, we were talking about this because it looks like an inverse head and shoulders, and it could go up on earnings. It's been super beaten up. So we were thinking, hey, maybe this is going to resolve higher, and it certainly did.
Yeah. So what we had here, the thought was we had a really awesome chart formation here showing an inverse head and shoulders. We had a stock that was totally beaten down and not really running into earnings. And we had noticed that some of these stocks that had performed poorly were actually beating and trading better after earnings. So the thought here was, well, you've got this pattern plus the inverse head and shoulders, and you got an earnings event here, and you got the round number 200. Well, it went exactly through that, actually popped as high as 236, did not quite test the 200, and it's come back in. Here's what I would say going forward now, if you miss that trade, I think if we hold 100 here, we probably make another move towards getting to the 200. You'll also notice that we have a gap that we were unable to fill here that fills up at 254. Now, this is important because if we cannot hold this 100, I think it is a certainty that we trade back down and fill the gap down here to 200, plus the round number magnet. And don't forget, Amanda hates this company. And she doesn't have a lot of hate, but she hates this company.
I wish Kramer would hate it so it would go higher. Because it
Fair
seems
enough.
like whenever he doesn't like something, it just does the opposite. Just as this line was just saying here, do the opposite of what Kramer is saying, and you will come up good. Yeah, I mean, the guy doesn't not make great calls. He's, even a broken clock can be right twice a day, but I mean, I know he was talking about Dollar General for the longest time, but that thing was still declining. And now he's pounding the table on it and saying things that we already knew about, like how only 4% of their products are foreign. Everything else is American made. So we knew that before he was saying it. It's like, come on, guy, you're on a TV. Get some real research going. SBET 44, yeah, it's still grinding up. CA Forsman, you nailed that one with Oklo. Stop me if you've heard this before. Oklo high of day. That's foreign to me.
Yeah, we've heard that plenty. Someone asked about YSG earlier here. This is making a huge move higher. It looks like skincare products. I don't have a line on this, though.
Yeah, but CA Forsman, you're not on, a nationally broadcasted TV program telling people what to buy and what to stay away from.
You also don't have a charitable trust fund and a service that people literally pay you for in order to make more money.
By the way, that was a great mention on TEM with this breakout here. 69, it took out 69, and now we're approaching 70. Oost still looks like it wants 21.27. Looks like HSDT is going to be probably finished if it loses the 65 EMA here.
HSD. And someone else is mentioning NUWE, New Welles. This is a penny stock. It's spiking. Careful with it. Was there news with this? No. June. No, this was yesterday. After hours, public offering. Going higher here on volume, though. I don't know what to make of that. I'm going to stay away from that.
It's another medical device company. Just they are getting a lot of moves lately. Costco's under 1,000
again. Yes, it is $9.99.
Okay. Everybody, get your wallets out.
Every time it drops under 1,000.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Rigetti looks like it's just going to set up to try and push higher. Maybe even come to the top of that trend. Did we draw a trend line with this? I have a trend line here. Yeah, we did. Looks like it's going to push to the trend line.
Yep. What are your thoughts on App? I'll let Lion Atlas take this one. He loves it. Here's App. Here's my big thought. We got a negative chart formation going on with a head and shoulders here that this thing traded into. We preemptively drew this as App started to trade back up. We also didn't we get news about the ad business changing recently? I know that there was a short report here that basically got smoked. It was left out of the latest S&P quarterly rebalance. It was this and Hood that got smacked by that because the investors were thinking that this was going to happen.
So with App, it is, we're on the second day now where it is holding above the 20-day SMA. And I think it really does need to continue holding that if it's going to go higher. If it can't, I think this comes back down to and needs to see some support from 350. That's where I think the support needs to happen. So but that's if we lose the 20-day SMA. It's still holding up there after 2 days of trading beneath it, but still, let's see, it's closed above it yesterday. Still above it right now. If we continue to close above it, we could reverse and recapture 400. If we break down beneath the 20-day SMA, I think we see 350.
Okay. AppX is another way of trading this. Thank you, Amanda. This is your 2X long ETF. How voluminous is this?
Uh-oh.
Not a whole lot. What's wrong?
KZIA has halted the upside.
Going to it?
Wow, you guys, man, you were saying keep an eye on it, and this is what happened. It was curling up, big old volume candle, just took it right through the VWAP, and now we're halted to basically where we opened at. Now, once we open, might see some selling, but I also see a case where this can grind even higher and maybe even go to that trend line that we drew. Although I think at this stage it'd be a bit of a tall order, still possible. That means the price is going to be, over 16 when it touches that trend line. So we'll see what we end up getting out of the halt. Great call out, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff there.
Wow. I mean, see, of course, you're ready to go, huh?
Is that thunder?
Oh, you hear it?
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm like jealous that it's not raining here.
You know what? It'll be sunny by 1. It'll be sunny by 1 here, because that's just how it works out here. Man. I absolutely loved the change when I moved out here. Never going back. There might not be much to go back to at this stage.
Lion says app is going higher. When it dips to under 280, it's going back to 500. Lion giving you a very specific route there.
Okay.
CoreWeave, by the way, pounding lows here, 150. Boy, this thing traded. So CoreWeave, this is wild. This thing traded above 165 here, came all the way back in. This is a gigantic range. We are on a 16-point range here in CoreWeave.
What's interesting about Lion's level there at 280? That's just above the 200-day SMA. So, I don't know how soon the time frame you're looking at where we make that kind of drop. I can see it happening in a short order, but that's a pretty good support level, and we already got support there earlier this year in April. So I like it. We'll see if we end up getting down there. Have to lose the 20-day SMA first.
Oklo continues to move higher here. What a move. This is probably the move of the day here, up 27%, 53 to 66. Yikes. What a move.
Oh, okay. So Rhett, he's in Cyprus and he just heard it. Yeah, I bet we got some rain earlier too. He's in the northern side, more northwestern side of Houston. Well, howdy, neighbor.
Howdy, neighbor.
$45. Yeah. It's still going there, Crow. It's still going. Well, okay. If I'm going to be a jerk, I'm going to say $44.97. But no, you're right. We're still climbing up. We're still climbing. Look at all these Texans. Love to see it. All right, how much time do we have left on this halt here?
We have 8 minutes. Oh, you said the halt. Okay. We have 8 minutes left until we go to story trading. Then we got futures fever after that. I know that's not what you were asking for, but.
And there's TEM through 70. Lockheed Martin down 27%. Is that right?
LMT is down 27% today.
No, it's not.
No, there's no way that's the case.
No, it's down. It's not even down 6%.
Okay. I was going to say, so Lockheed Martin shares are trading lower after the company, after the Pentagon, after the company and the Pentagon reportedly reduced its Air Force F-35 fighter jet request from 48 to 24. This jet costs a fortune, doesn't it? Yeah. I think we were talking about this before.
It's very expensive aircraft, and with the thought of moving away from manned aircraft into drones, makes sense to me. But that doesn't
me too.
This company's gonna go down in the toilet. They have a ton of other hardware that they can sell, including drones.
By the way, when Tim Melvin this morning, I know I didn't agree with some of the China stuff either. I know that there were a couple of folks out there that did. First of all, folks, just so you know, if I bring a guest on, they want to discuss something, I'm going to let them discuss it.
Mhm.
I'm not going to sit here and fight the guests. That's you don't make friends that way. You can always learn something from somebody that thinks differently than you. But I disagree. I think that I don't think China's leapfrogging the United States in a lot of stuff. We talked to a guy that's pretty local.
KZI opened, popped, and halted again.
KZI. I'm just going to start handing out register rings for this because you guys absolutely crushed this KZIA trade. Anyway, well, I did not agree with him on some of the China stuff that he was getting from a study that might not be his own personal opinion. That's the other thing I should say. He was talking about a study he read. I loved when he was talking about drones being the future of warfare there, because that is what we have heard from a number of different sources, plays into the Ondas and any other drone theme that we have talked about. That was great to hear again. They should keep the A-10 Warthog. So I actually listened to a podcast on with one of the Warthog pilots. That sounds like a fascinating airplane. Just an absolutely devastating warfighter.
Oh, it's. I don't think there's ever been a better support vehicle that's ever been made
than the Warthog. Okay.
Oh yeah, I've loved that aircraft since I was a kid. I had models of it. Just an awesome little. I mean, and it's great too because I absolutely love the. I think they still use the Vulcan 20mm cannon, but that thing is just the greatest sound ever.
They talked about that on the podcast. He said that's what everyone that flies that plane wants because that gun is unbelievable.
It's insane. Oh gosh, can't say enough good things about that aircraft. Cannot say enough good things. All right, so let's see here. We got that halted. I'm just gonna do something real quick here. Oops. Yeah, let's do that. Warthog makes you think of Halo. The terrain vehicle. There's been a lot of iterations of that people have done that are pretty cool, but they never get the suspension the way it is in the game, which I think would be interesting. All right, so what do we got here with TEM? This thing pulling off now after hitting 70. It was a great call. I forgot who made it, but well done on you. It looks like all the quantum names are starting to come back in as well. Look, QUBT that lost that trend line, Ionic, Rigetti, they're all starting to pull here.
How's the HSDT doing? That pulled lost VWAP. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still above the 65 EMA, so there's a possibility that this still could turn around. But I think the big move has already sort of happened. Maybe maybe there's another move coming later, but if there is, I'd have to hold the 65 EMA and at the very least the 200 EMA. So we'll end up seeing if we get that. I want to see what happens with KZI after this halt. This was really, really cool.
Is this gonna open up before we get out of here? We got story trading coming up in 3 minutes. When was this halted?
No, it's gonna stay halted. Yeah, before when we end.
Oh, it's a 10-minute?
This is the second one, so I think we probably aren't going to see this open.
Darn.
That's okay. You'll find out tomorrow how it went.
Yeah, you will, and we'll be able to trade. Maybe story trading will take a look at KZIA. I don't know. We'll see. That might be on their radar. Those guys generally on top of all of the stocks that are making moves. So.
Oh well, then they're certainly playing all these quantum names. I mean, that's just my guess. I can't say for sure if they're doing that.
We'll ask him here in a minute. Don't worry about that. Don't you worry about that, 13. TTD moving back up finally. Yeah, look, I hope I get bailed out on this trade. Honestly, though, with a number of the other options trades that I make here, even if this one goes to zero, I'm still going to be very green. If this comes back at all, and we've got time on this one too, if this comes back at all, we are going to have some gravy to go through, though. TTD, this is the July 90 calls that I was still in. 37 days to expiry here.
Bitcoin coming off of that.
I can actually just add to
110
this.
floor.
Actually,
Looks like it's getting some support from the the 110 area, but if we lose, looks like we're going to head lower here in Bitcoin here if we cannot recapture 110,000.
okay.
Well, looks like HSDT is still trying to recover, but volume's really low, folks. Volume is low. Not sure how much we're going to get here before we see the folks move away from their desk for lunch. Probably will have better trading when you come back. Oh, Ionic really getting hammered now.
All right, 13. You want to give us a wrap here? Any words of wisdom or again dad advice if you've got it?
There's KZIA. Anyway,
so did it really? Did it?
Yep. 1286, and now it's pulling, but maybe there's more left. Anyway, that's all for me today. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. Great stuff today, guys. Had a lot of fun with you. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll find these movers and we'll trade them again. Have fun with story trading. Take care.
Okay, really good stuff yet again here, 13. Enjoy the rainstorm. We'll follow up with you tomorrow. That is 13. His departure leaves room for the story trading crew. Let's welcome on Ben and Rhett. How you guys doing here today?
What's up? Doing awesome.
Rhett, I got to be honest. Every time I bring you on, it looks like I surprise the living hell out of you, and I am not trying to do that. I like legitimately. I'm just, so hopefully hopefully it's all right.
No, it's all good.
All right, what do you guys got for us today? And also, are we going to see Godfather here today?
Don't know, Rhett, if you want to ping them, but we'll get started. What do I got for you? Active short squeeze you're looking at right now. ASTS, one of the largest positions in my retirement account. I called it early Monday morning. I said, this is the inflection point where we head towards $50. So $50 plus has been my price target year. I've been pounding the table on that price target all year long, and it's finally happening. We are re-rating. We're short squeezing right now on ASTS. I've been adding $39 calls, next week's $39 calls in my trade account. But so far, the real money I've been making is in my retirement account. I got a nice big fat position on this, and this thing is absolutely gone. 39.08, the all-time high. Short interest here. What is that? 45 million shares short. This is going to be fun. I would not be surprised to see $39 anytime. It could happen today, tomorrow, Friday, Monday, but all-time high is coming very fast on ASTS. So take a look at that. Welcome, Godfather. How you doing?
Yeah, good morning. Sorry about that. I'm here.
No problem. Yeah, exciting time. I'm just jumping right into some stocks. Didn't even talk about the macro, but let me give my macro just a quick second here. You know, I give a lot of deference to the 200 DMA, and I went into today predicting and saying if CPI comes in light, then we're going to gap above the 200 DMA and enter a new bull market for small cap stocks, right? We've been in like this bull market for the larger caps, but now we're entering this bull market for the small cap stocks. But I got to say, the breadth is a little bit difficult. Underneath the surface, you got to pick and choose. You got to be in the right stocks. There are a lot of stocks not working today, and a lot of stocks are working. So it's not like you can just throw a dart and be up today. Got to be in the right places. So ASTS, one of those right places. Other one I have to mention, because we also called, you talk about quantum. Ryan's gone. But you got in the previous show, they were talking about the quantum names. So in my morning note I put out early this morning, I said if we get a light CPI, then the sectors in play today are going to be uranium and quantum. All right, uranium and quantum, that's where you want to be. I put that out at like 5:30 a.m. this morning. Look at this. Look at what's happening with CCJ and all the uranium names. The quantum names also blowing up, and there were catalysts behind both of these. All right, which we'll skip over that right now, but we know the news and we interpret that news and make predictions how stocks will act based on that news. And I don't trade quantum names at all. They're sectors too overvalued for me, but the nuclear names I do trade. And I've been in ASPI this morning. I own a bunch of these nuclear names long term, but GSRT is what I've been piling into in my trade account. GSRT is just getting found. This is a SPAC that's merging with a SMR company, small modular nuclear reactors. In fact, I think, Godfather, you've done more research on this than me. for me, it's a very superficial thesis. When there's a trend, a sector that's blowing up, eventually every stock in that sector will get found. All right, that's my thesis. Simple as that. Plus, it's a SPAC, and SPACs have been hot recently. So you have both the SPAC and you have the nuclear merger that's pending on this. So if you look at the daily chart, finally starting to get found today. I've been piling into this, keep buying all day long on GSRT. And the Godfather, what are your thoughts on GSRT?
Yeah, look, you get arb guys that sort of play against the $10 price that will come into effect if the deal doesn't go through. So as you get closer to that date, that arb pressure dissipates, and also it gets more eyeballs. So as you mentioned, they're doing a deal with a company called Terra Innovatum, and it's a micro modular reactor. Their technology is called Solo. The bottom line is that the pre-market value for this is $475 million. They're expected, if they complete the full financing, and in this environment, I can't imagine they wouldn't, to raise about $230 million. So you add those two together, you got 700 million. At least 1.3 billion. Oklo 7.4 billion. SMR at a material discount.
Sorry, go back. I don't know if it was my connection. I don't know if it was my connection. Or
No, we got cut off right there.
Yeah. So I didn't hear all that. Can you just again the relative valuation with SMR and Oklo versus GSRT?
Yeah, the SMR. So the roll-in value, pre-money value for Terra Innovatum, which is going into GSRT, is 475 million, and they're raising 230 million. The bottom line is then you've got like 700 million in value there if you include the cash, right? The market cap or the enterprise value, I should say, of NNE is like 1.3, Oklo 7.4, SMR around 4.5. Those are probably higher as opposed to, given the moves today. But needless to say, you're well below the lowest value that we see in those SMRs, which is NNE, which frankly I don't think their technology works. But this is a company that's well advanced. They signed a deal today for instrumentation and control systems, safety systems, with an established player in the industry called Paragon Energy Solutions. Been around for some 30 years, providing parts, instrumentation, controls, and other services to the nuclear industry. They've got over 200 employees, 100 million in revenue. But look, this is a company that they're already through and into an application process to put a nuclear reactor, basically downtown New York City, Ben, right in your neighborhood. Really? And the other thing is, they highlight their safety. As they all do. All these SMRs, by the way, they're on a 2027 to 2028 and beyond timeline for actual implementation. These guys are which is low enriched uranium. So it ticks all the right boxes. You're right. As a theme play, this thing is lagged. It should be on everybody's list. It's only on a quarter of people's lists or less. So
yeah, it's just,
if you haven't heard about it,
even now as we're talking about it, yes, it's just starting to get found. Yeah, here's Jay Rice in the comments saying, "Here's my nuke list. Watch for pullbacks," and he lists a whole bunch of them, and he didn't even add GSRT on there as we're talking about it. So it still has to get found. And I think, I don't know, like we played that SPAC SCLBR on the Grab-A-Gun, the Donald Trump Jr. one. Most people in our community, we wrote it from like $12 to 15 plus. And just looking at other SPACs, pre-deal, consummation of the deal, I'm thinking, that 15 range is possible here on GSRT. So that's that. If you don't mind, do you want to talk? If you can, keep your macro comment here, Steve. If you got macro comments, let's do it quickly because there's so many stocks I want to talk about. So quickly on the IWM and the interest rates in China, real quick.
Yeah, look, I think macro, the important things are as follows: as long as 10-year rates are under 4.5, as long as we're over 200-day moving averages on the indices, it's a good backdrop for stock picking. The stock market is in sort of rarefied air. The air is getting thinner up here in terms of multiples, but what do we need to move forward? We need further positive revisions from earnings, which we've actually getting. We need earnings revision breadth, which we're getting to other sectors. You need to see this market move, go into other sectors. Last week, we saw the industrials as the leading recipient of money. More money flew into industrials than it has in 7 months. So that's a good sign for the market. It's melt up here. You pointed out positioning. Institutions and hedge funds are offside. They've been offside since early March. Retail, as you can see by the net leverage rising for the 4th straight week, is what's been pushing this market higher. So you can see the shorted names that are outperforming, and it's seen all over the market. When you've got things like non-profitable tech outperforming quality, you got small outperforming big, you got cyclicals outperforming defensives, you got laggards outperforming leaders, value outperforming growth. All of these signs are healthy signs for this market. So I'll keep it there as long as nothing material happens to change sentiment in terms of trade. Then from an economic standpoint, the numbers are coming in okay, right? We're not seeing hiring fall off a cliff or unemployment shoot up, and inflation seems to be relatively muted. So those are your two things. That's all you need. Is it a one and done in terms of rate cuts this year for the Fed? I've been saying that since the beginning of the year. Wouldn't surprise me if that's what we get. That's enough, in my opinion. Combine that with a deregulation. Hopefully we get something out of this big, beautiful bill in the latter half of the year, and we're away to the races.
Beautiful. And Jay Rice, sorry, I didn't mean to pick on you. He corrected me. He did mention GSRT right at the top of the show before he listed all those nuclear names. But the point still stands that a lot of people don't know about this name yet. So, okay, let's move on a little bit.
Sharp knife in the market here. I'm not sure. I see Letnick is talking on CNBC. I've got him muted because we're on this call, but he must be saying something.
Yeah, the market didn't like, we are not going to give China our best chips, is what he just said.
Our best what?
Our best chips.
Oh, our best chips. Okay. All right.
China will approve all applications for magnets for U.S. companies. So, look, these are machinations. They'll all get worked out.
Yeah, and I don't think that changes IWM over the 200 DMA today on late CPI. I think that chip is gone, in my opinion. So, okay. Let's look at some other things that may have some alpha left for today. I know there's some long-term things you want to talk about, the Godfather, but I'm going to zero in on a couple trade ideas here. Let's see, which one do we want to do? I talked about ASTS, right? All-time highs coming. GSRT we talked about. All right, here's a speculative little play for you that I'm in because of the riots. I tried it yesterday. It didn't quite work out yesterday for me. I'm back in today because I noticed the volume's improving today. This is Wrap Technology. This is a Riot stock, Bolo Wrap. I looked at a whole bunch of the Riot stocks, and there's Axon and maybe BYRN. I was trying to research that, Godfather. I actually don't have a lot of municipal sales yet. Maybe it'll get picked up as a Riot play. But with the riots expanding out of LA, starting to go nationwide here, and there's some riot demonstrations, riot set for Sunday. This was the old, one that used to really run big back a few years ago when there were riots. Look at that. That was probably during the summer of, 2020. See, this is when you had all those riots in the summer of 2020, if you remember. Look what it did then. Went from 5 to 15, okay? There's another one, DGLY, but I looked into Digley. DGLY is kind of not in that business anymore. People think they are, but they're not really. Let's see, but it's been moving. Actually, yesterday it moved, but not today. So narrowing it all down, I chose Wrap to play on this riot theme. A little higher risk, small cap. Got in $1.60 today, so something to think about. But there's also ASPI on the nuclear theme that I've been trading today. Ooh, all right, ready? Godfather, you're up. You see what's on my screen?
Is that mine? Yeah, so this is a small cap company that we've been on since they did their big capital restructuring that took the stock from 5 to 10. And then it subsequently came right back down to 5 again, or near 5, for no apparent reason. In fact, they had a blockbuster quarter in Q4. They came out with their quarter, Q1 quarter, yesterday after close, and they reported 7.9 million. The estimates were for 10.1, but there were 5 orders that simply, due to some delays, didn't get shipped to customers. Most of that has subsequently been shipped. So if that had all come into the quarter, they would have beat the top line by 35%. Profit margins continue to expand, which is notable by the fact that even at 7.9 million in top line, they generated additional operating cash flow. So look, these guys are also sitting on tax loss carry forwards of $80 million. They talked, and for the first time in Q4 about hiring investment balance sheet. They could raise money. They've got cash flow coming in. They could expand that way organically. I think what they're hinting to is the fact that, hey, the market is not giving any credit for these tax loss carry forwards. A strategic, not only could they buy them accretively because they probably have more expensive equity, and they could do partly a paper transaction. Number two, this thing is trading at any kind of discount to what an acquirer would be trading at, a larger company like a Schlumberger or Halliburton or any of these kind of names. And then you can use the tax loss carry forwards. So, I mean, there's $10 a share in value, face value for the tax loss carry forward. So how much of that gets realized? Well, I don't know, call it 25% or so. That's like $2.50 a share. So I absolutely think that this, which is an industry-leading technology in a micro-cap company, becomes part of a larger entity. You got Trump doing executive orders for offshore as well, which increases a number of their markets. Mining on the ocean sea bottoms. It ticks the box for rare earths, maritime security. There's more and more offshore wind and other things like this. All those sea bottoms have to be mapped with their technology before you can put any of those wind towers in place. So fabulous company, completely misunderstood from the quarter. Fair value is double digits here.
So let me give you. Yeah, go ahead.
I think management is getting a little bit impatient with the fact that the market isn't valuing them properly. So I think a strategic comes in here. I would be surprised if this company is around in 6 to 12 months.
So let me give you, that's the long-term fundamental perspective. Let me give you my trading perspective on this today. I've been trading this today, one of my bigger wins. I love opportunities like this from a trading perspective when we had a sign this could happen. I actually warned, and not necessarily warned, but advised our story trading community about mine, as that the revenue numbers could be light. Okay, could be light this quarter based on comments from last conference call, but the guidance should be great. So that I kind of knew coming in. So I game planned this, and I said, look, you could see something where it's gonna the stock will drop on the print and then go up on the guidance. Now, played out a little bit differently last night because the print was much worse than they had anticipated. But that was only for timing reasons, right? They didn't lose any business. It's just it will be delayed into this quarter, right? So last night when I saw it, I sold my position and then I bought it back lower. But then the real opportunity, the real trading opportunity this morning, and I just love this setup. We listened to the conference call live with our whole community this morning at 9 a.m. And the conference call was off the hook. It was awesome. A lot of the stuff Godfather was talking about in there. They did not lose any business. Not only did they not lose any business, they're getting more new business, right? So this top and bottom line miss, all right, it was just a timing issue, and it's all going to be reflected not only in this quarter, but throughout the balance of the year. They said they're going to sustain that profitability throughout the whole year. Then they're talking about the tax loss carry forward. So what's it mean? It means the conference call was great, right? And in pre-market, as some of us were buying this up here, I warned. Again, warned it has a negative connotation. I advised the community. I said, look, we can have a great trading opportunity in mind today because 90% of people do not listen to the conference call. 99% of people don't listen to the conference call. So you can see another leg down when the market opens, okay, just based on the top and bottom line number of people who still want to get out. And you can buy that dip, and that becomes an awesome intraday trading opportunity. That's exactly what I did. My buy order was at 590, right near the 200 EMA. I forgot about this gap fill, but it went all the way to the gap fill and came right back. And this ended up being one of my best trades for the day, buying at 590, selling up there at 640, and I just see it moving back towards 6, and I just bought it again because now I understand the market psychology. We listen to all of the analyst questions, we listen to that conference call, and I know that buyers will step in here. So I can have a lot of confidence that as we approach that 200 DMA over here at 586, that this is going to be bought up. So I just actually, as we're talking here, I added shares again, a nice chunk at $6.06, I think it was, that got filled at. And I think I could still make a nice chunk on that today. Wouldn't be surprised to see this trade back into the 630s, 640s today. So you have the fundamental perspective there from the Godfather, but I also see this as a wonderful short-term intraday trading opportunity. You get that edge when you listen to the conference call. It really empowers you to understand the market psychology and the players involved and kind of anticipate what they're going to do. And that's how I love my trade ideas, really understanding the other players and how they're anticipate how they're going to trade. So that ended up being a great trade for me today. And let's see if we get a second one. I think as you move towards 6, I think anything near 6 can be bought in the very short term for a quick, profitable trade. All right. Now, let's see what else we got. One thing that's hurting my portfolio today, we got a lot of winners, but CORZ is probably my biggest position now. And yeah, Bitcoin's like pulling back a little bit now, but CORZ is not just a Bitcoin mining company. Their AI data center name. The stock has been really strong above the 200 DMA, and with the market pumping this morning and Bitcoin pumping, it still wasn't going up. So this one, and I bought more as I saw Bitcoin surging, and it didn't work out. So this one's hurting my returns today. CORZ. I don't know. The Godfather knows. What do you think? What do you know? I mean, is this gonna pull it off? Like, I know you have your long-term fundamental view, but are you? I'm surprised from a short-term trading perspective, it's not trading better with the markets and Bitcoin rocketing. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, look, I'm not concerned one bit. I'm not surprised. Look, we can do an hour on this, and we are going to do a spaces on this. I think it's tomorrow, right, at 10:30 Eastern. So we'll go into the deep dive there. But yeah, your point is valid. So this is the second largest Bitcoin miner out there. So there's a portion of this that should correlate to Bitcoin prices. But the real story here is that on HPC and converting of their megawatts, contracted megawatts, to high performance compute. And of course, they are the big or of power to CoreWeave. They're responsible for about a third of CoreWeave's power. Now, CoreWeave is a very controversial name. Obviously, the stock is up some, I think 380% or something since its IPO. Let's see, I have this on my other screen here. And look, I share the concerns there. Yeah, up 287% since its IPO. I share the concerns there over CoreWeave. I think it's fundamentally overvalued. Their business plan provides very little for their shareholders. But as long as they can stay credit worthy as a counterparty to CoreWeave, the deals that they cut with Core Scientific, the deals that they cut with Core Scientific are unprecedented. Core Scientific is not paying for any of the CapEx, but they are retaining all of the infrastructure. The power is a complete pass-through. They're effectively getting investment grade lease there with CoreWeave. I think that CoreWeave desperately needs to raise some equity here. They've got debt. I know equity is expensive, but it's not that expensive when you're trading at these kind of multiples. You're around 70 billion in market cap now. So their debt is around 9.5, closing in on 10%. They need to backfill with some equity here. The irony is this: if they do a massive equity issue, Core Scientific should pop. Anything that CoreWeave can do to bulletproof its balance sheet will benefit Core Scientific. The only reason Core Scientific is not trading at $20 plus, which is where I believe fair value is for this, is because of those concerns over at CoreWeave. In addition to that, management hit it on their conference call just recently, and also in a sit-down presentation with, was it Needham? I can't remember now which investment bank, but there's another 50 to 100 megawatts that are imminent in terms of being contracted here. Management is committed to diversifying its client base. So there's about 1.3 gigawatts worth of sits in Core Scientific. Around 300 megawatts is dedicated to Bitcoin mining, and the rest is all available for conversion to HPC compute. I won't go deep into the weeds, but as most people that are tracking AI understand, the emphasis has moved from teaching these LLMs to inference, which is essentially, running queries. And what's important there is geographics, all the rest of that. The sites that Core Scientific has versus those that has APLD have, for example, are not as well suited to inference. That means they can get higher lease rates. They are going to turn this thing effectively into a REIT, a la Digital Realty, a la EQIX, this kind of thing. If they're successful in doing that, those cash flows, this thing is a $40 stock. But in the meantime, the next stop here is back to its old highs, which are, I think, 1867. And I think you see that. I think you're going to see probably in the next 4 weeks that they sign this next contract. And those are the two key drivers that the market is keying off of.
And there's been,
I think you get the bullishness that comes with Bitcoin for free here.
Yeah, and there's been massive call options volume for August, maybe based on the timeline you're talking about, next 4 weeks, looking for a new contract. But let me just remind people here, this sector, the reason I'm really interested in this, what I said earlier about like the uranium sector, right? In a trend trade, every single stock in that trend trade will eventually get found. Even the lowest quality ones will eventually get found and explode. And this is maybe the highest quality one, right? So what's that trend trade? He just talked about it. It was CoreWeave, obviously, which exploded a couple 100%. It's NBIS. Let's go to the daily charts. Look at that. It's CoreWeave. This is the trend trade. AI data centers, all right? NBIS, which we were all over, and the Godfather was all over this from early on, making a lot of money for our community. Then it was APLD, which I was actually on vacation when this happened, but I know you guys killed it on APLD when that news came out with, it was a CoreWeave deal, right, with APLD when that came out. So this is the trend trade that's really hot. Every stock in a trend trade will eventually get found, even the low quality ones. So then what do you think the high quality ones are going to do? So
See, we're right before this revenue starts to kick in, because it's a Q3 event where they start to light up. I think they're going to deliver 250 megawatts under the contract to Core recurring revenue. I mean, there's 12 year contract in place here with renewal clauses, by the way, at over $10 billion. So that's $850 million a year. This is 75 to 80% EBITDA margins, recurring revenue. I mean, this is the type of stuff that gets 20 times plus EV/EBITDA multiples. And if you look at Needham, who just raised their target to 18, that's what they're calling for. I think actually they're using 16 times. That's how they get to their 18.
And that fits neatly with that all-time high. Needham, a couple days ago, raising their price target from 16 to 18. So we'll see. I'm positioned very large in this, expecting this to become the next really popular trade in the AI data center space. Everyone's going to be like, hey, this is the next NBIS. We're ahead of the curve. We're already in the next NBIS ahead of time. So it's 11.
This thing trades $18 to $22 range in the next quarter.
Let's do it.
I'm putting that on the tape right now. Go back and watch this
on the
report.
tape. We're piling into August call options. I also have some this week though.
Where's Ryan? We need to clip this.
Yeah, he's gonna clip that for a Benzinga community.
What's up?
Benzinga's here.
What's up? I heard my name.
Yeah, we're saying we just need you to clip that right there. What the Godfather?
The Godfather just said, put it on tape, clip it in the next quarter. He said, CORZ. is going to be going up towards $18 within the next quarter.
Okay, we need to get Godfather's internet connection figured out
I
because he
know.
continues to break up here. It is wild. That
Rubber
might be
banding.
why I missed it.
Yeah. Anyway,
Hmm.
so you want me to keep going? We got 2 minutes left, Ryan. You want?
Yeah, you got 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right, cool. All right. So anyway, let's see if we got any. Oh, someone asked about SPCB in the chat. I still haven't sold this. Like, wake me up at the price target I have here is 1370 to 19 on SPCB. What a beautiful, amazing story. Winning contracts like every single day. It's ridiculous. But I am not inclined to like scalp around this, man. It's up 6%. I don't want to sell this today. I don't know about you, the Godfather. Rhett, are you in this one as well?
No, I already sold that one.
No,
I'm not selling this one. I'm not selling this baby.
Yeah. I've been. I added yesterday. Well, the stock was flatlining around 1120. I added some more this morning before it moved. Fair value for this name. I'm being conservative at 16. I think in reality it's probably closer to 18 to 20. But again, these are recurring revenue.
And that weekly chart is so beautiful, right there.
Ooh.
What?
It's cash flow positive.
What's that, Rhett? What was
the selling
your
proposition? Is
Check out VKTX right now.
good or bad? I still own it.
Pretty good. I like it. I'm liking this chart breakout.
Okay. Good stuff
daily.
here, boys.
All right.
Good stuff as always.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
How's your trading been going, Ryan? Pretty
chart
good?
there on VKTX.
Amazing, dude. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, I can't miss on Chewy right now. I've been trading it multiple times leading up to this earnings. Thought to myself, we've traded up into earnings here. This is likely going to pull back, even if the print itself is good, which is exactly what happened here today. So again, just love it because I feel like when I win on Chewy, I spend more on my animals. They love that. I love them. They love me. That's where we're at here today. So we're having a really great day.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Take care.
That is Ben, Rhett, and the Godfather from Story Trading. Really good stuff. Again, these guys are awesome. Folks, we're going to send you over to Futures Fever here with Kevin coming up next. You don't need to do anything. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll catch